More than it is about race. Man, do I remember when I was a kid. Don't spend a disgusting amount of money on tickets to go see the U.S. Open. And here's the thing with the U.S. Open, by the way. Let's get this out of the way. And and this is going to sound, people are going to read into this some type of racial thing, and it's not, or a class. It's really about class more than it is about race. Man, do I remember when I was a kid and my grandfather would get tickets to the U.S. Open and we would go as a family, my mother, my father, and myself. They'd give me a little cup of Haagen-Dazs. And we got these amazing seats. And once I handed Martina Navratilova, that big hulking dyke, I handed her a towel. Great, tennis player. And that was a great era, right?
Come see us on tour. We'll be in Duluth, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to jimmygore.com for a link for those tickets. Hey, we have special guests with us. Keaton Weiss and Russell Doppler are the hosts of Do Dissident Show on YouTube, Rumble, and Substack. You know them, you love them. Hello, fellas.
Hello, Jimmy. Pleasure to be here, though. This kind of kills the fan theory that me and Matt Walsh are the same person. People speculated that in the past.
It's gone out the window.
Now it's out the window, yeah.
So I don't know if you saw this. I wanted to play it for both of you before we get to the real reason I brought you on. 2020, Ice Cube said, withhold your vote until they give you something, which is what I've said about Hillary Clinton. I said, come get my vote. I said that about Joe Biden, come get my vote. That's how politics works. You don't get to just shame me into voting for you because someone else is worse. You have to come get my vote. And so that's what he's basically getting. So he said it back then, and they gave him a hard time. And then here we go. He's doing it again.
Process. You don't vote just to vote. You vote because you're getting something or your community is getting something. So everybody that's telling you that, man, look at them and say, what are you getting? Because people that just want you to vote and not ask for nothing, people that's in power that want you to vote but don't want you to get anything or not asking for you to get anything economically, they suspect. Straight up. Because a lot of people been in place for a long
don't come
time.
outside. You might get the shit pushed back tonight.
That shit gonna end. That shit gonna end. We gonna get what we supposed to get. Period. And anybody asking you not to ask, I wouldn't listen to them. Because that's the process. Every community asks for what they want. And we gonna do the same goddamn thing.
I don't know what planet he came.
Anybody telling you that you gotta vote, that it's your duty, that you have to exercise the right, and that people died for you to vote. For one, people did die, but nobody walked out their house to go die for you to vote. They were killed by probably some racists that don't want to see us get anything. Be skeptical of anybody telling you to vote and not telling you to ask for anything, or to tell you to just vote and not to get anything for your vote. That's not how it works.
So I don't know what planet he's from, but here in America, we vote for whoever our peers pressured us into voting for, just to keep them as friends. Right? I don't have time for purity tests and making us think about our decision. That hurts. And our psychologist tells us we need to stop doing things that hurt ourselves.
Apparently, he has not heard arc of the universe is long and it bends towards justice. And you just have to vote harder. And you just have to wait. Also, I don't know what cave he's living in, but apparently he's not heard that Orange Man banned.
He has not heard that. Interesting to me is, first of all, he's echoing what Donald said before he got his job at MSNBC. You remember what he said before he got his job at MSNBC? He's saying exactly what Ice Cube has been saying the last 2 election cycles. So here it is.
If you want to pull the party, the major party that is closest to the way you're thinking, to what you're thinking, you must show them that you're capable of not voting for them. If you don't show them you're capable of not voting for them, they don't have to listen to you. I promise you that. I worked within the Democratic Party. I didn't listen or have to listen to anything the left while I was working in the Democratic Party because the left had nowhere to go.
So that is fake tough guy Lawrence O'Donnell before they pulled him aside, roughed him up, traumatized him, and to the point where he'll never utter that truth ever again. He'll never say that on his show ever again. But that's what he was saying. That's all he's saying. And when he said it online, on Twitter, immediately, this got almost 2,000 likes. They said Ice Cube is in business partners with Steve Bannon, a known fraudster who is currently in jail for frauding. And when he got out in November, will go back to jail for more frauding. Nothing else to say is speaking to his point. Isn't that so? That just seems like I don't know.
That's all they do.
So are you saying that he's wrong to tell his community to ask for something for his vote? 2,000 likes almost. You're saying don't ever ask for anything for your vote? Why don't you speak to what his point is instead of just doing character assassination? I know because his point is right and you don't want to address that. Oh, yeah, Kamala Harris isn't going to give anything to his people. Go ahead.
People play this weird psychological game where on the one hand they'll say, look, don't take it so seriously. Voting is not an expression of your inner soul. It's just a choice you make on election day. Okay, well then my choice on election day is not to vote for either. Well, what do you mean? You have to pick one. You have to pick one. It's your duty to pick one. It's like, what are the? It's like they don't have their story straight. What did Jordan Carlin say? He said, people like to say people who don't vote have no right to complain. He said, I think it's the exact opposite. I think people who don't vote are the only ones who have a right to complain. Because when whoever you voted for does something horrible, I can say, look, I had nothing to do with it. I think the default should be not to participate and only vote for someone if they give you a reason to. Because mathematically, voting is like the most inefficient expression of political sentiment. I mean, you're one in 300 million votes? Mm-hmm. So unless you really feel like you're going out and voting for something, I think it's your choice not to do it. People didn't die for your right to vote. They died for your right to choose whether or not to vote. Freedom of participation is freedom to decide whether or not to participate at all. And so, all the self-righteous virtue signaling about voting and who you have to vote for, it just seems to be deployed for time.
Well, here's a video you got in Chicago. Here's a black guy, ex-con, who says he's voting for Trump.
And so you support Trump?
Yes, I support the office.
And you also support Palestine?
Yes,
well,
absolutely.
You know Trump doesn't though, right?
I have nothing to do with that. I'm against the Democratic Party. It don't matter if it was Mickey Mouse in the office or Republican office. I'm voting for Mickey Mouse. So it's not about the personality. His issues not my issues.
Okay, but if you support Palestine, do you not like that he supports Israel?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So you're choosing to look past it, basically.
That's it. I've been dealing with this Democratic Party that's caused disinvestment into our community for 60 years. So it's time to get rid of them. So if it could be the devil in office, I'm voting for him against that devil over there.
Okay, do you actually like Trump, or you just like him better than the Democrats?
Trump to dislike Trump. That's the problem with human beings. You dislike people you don't even know. And that's the problem with racism. That's the problem with sexism. That's the problem with all those things. So, nah, it's not about who's in office and who's sitting in office. Look who's sitting in office now. The Democrats. So who you gonna pick? Who you gonna pick? Which devil you pick?
All right, so you don't feel like because Kamala Harris is a black woman that you have to support?
What's she black at?
You don't feel she is?
Like, she's not for us. You know how many black people, Obama was the so-called black. Look at our communities in Chicago. And this is his city.
Do you feel Trump did better for those communities?
Yes, absolutely. 100%.
In what way?
Clinton 94 crime bill ushered us into prison. Trump's second step has released 50,000 of men that the Clinton crime bill over sentence. So everybody, even a clock is right twice, a broken clock is right twice a day. So it's always good and bad. You can find that in both.
So just to let you know, Republican Donald Trump's 12% share of the black vote in 2020 was 4 percentage points higher than it was in 2016. And I've seen where it's been up to 22%. And the Reuters found that in July, 18% of black Americans would pick Trump over Biden in a hypothetical matchup, compared to 46% who favored Biden, including about 1 in 4 black men, compared to about 1 in 7 black women. So I can't believe that Bernie Sanders, we went from half the Democratic primary voting in 2016 of the voters choosing to overthrow the Democratic establishment and get corporate money out of the party. And those people are all gone now. Bernie, he trained them to not ask for anything for their vote, and they don't. That's what this is. And then when someone does, he's looked at as a pariah. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is what Democrats really can't reckon with. You know, Michelle Alexander, the author of The New Jim Crow, she wrote an article, and you can look it up, it's still online, Why Hillary Clinton Doesn't Deserve the Black Vote. She wrote that in 2016. One of the pictures in it is a picture of how Bill Clinton announced his campaign in '92. He announced it at the birthplace of the KKK, Stone Mountain Correctional Facility, with a phalanx of black prisoners in chains behind him. And if that didn't communicate the message clearly enough, took the picture with Cooter from the Dukes of Hazzard standing next to him, who at that time was actually a congressman. I have challenged Democrats in every election. You can give me a credible, non-racist explanation for why Bill Clinton announced his campaign that way, I promise I will vote for the Democrat for president. If you can give me a credible, reasonable, non-racist explanation for that. And nobody has ever even attempted for that as a non-racist picture. Democrats cannot face the fact that in the end, not because they're necessarily more racist, but because their political calculations are different, the Democrats, the modern Democrats, have done more damage to the black community by orders of magnitude than the Republicans have. Because for them, they view the black community as a community that's captive and that has nowhere to go.
Lou, what to do, bro?
So they can do whatever they want to the black community. In the end, they've always believed they'll still get the black vote. The Republicans are coming at elections with a very different calculus. All they need to do is peel away a few percentage points of the black vote. Win. They're unbeatable. So for them, they are motivated to actually try to win over that community. Whereas the Democrats are looking at white people in the suburbs who want to see them get tough on crime. Look at Kamala. Look at Kamala. They're leaning into her record as a tough prosecutor because they assume they have the black vote on lock. They're always concerned about white people in the suburbs who will put BLM signs on their front lawns all day, but like to know that the police are out there cracking heads. And that's the dance, that's the game that they've always played.
Well, that's the game, but if you look at those numbers, Jimmy, that you just put up on the screen about how the Republicans have made these inroads with black voters, it's true, they have. The 20, they got 12% of the black vote. That should have spelled doom for Joe Biden. And, if Trump is due to get within, 15 to 20% of the black vote this time, which I think is certainly doable, that should spell doom for the Democrats. What has kept the Democrats in the game, though, is that their base has gotten so much richer and so much whiter that they have been able to trade it to such a point where that it keeps them in the game. Like, they really have swapped bases to such a large extent. This is the ultimate irony. The Democrats have always, thought of Trump as this spearhead of white nationalism, of a white nationalist movement. But as Trump and Trumpism have come to define the Republican Party has become more diverse, and the Democratic Party has become whiter. The complete opposite has happened, and it's happened to such an extent that the Democrats have survived politically, despite the fact that they are bleeding. I won't just say black votes, because the Hispanic vote looks like it's going to be pretty big for Trump this time too. But they have really made a successful pitch to these comfortable upper middle class PMC moderates, and it has kept them in the game.
It's on tour will be in Duluth, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California.
Go to JimmyGar.com. 20 minutes. I had to eat breakfast, but I don't know. Sometimes I just know, like, if I do shit downstairs, it makes me lazy coming upstairs to the studio. Even like eating a big breakfast or something. So I was like, let me eat my breakfast in the studio, because if I don't, I probably won't want to go up there. Yo, JGP, what up, bro? I'm gonna take one quick break real quick. So I had some breakfast, a pretty rich breakfast, man. Some steak and eggs, Got coffee here, and got some smokes.
A rubber stamp is not in the best interest of the people of America.
Washington has changed, Bob Casey.
Is on tour will be in Duluth, Georgia, Jacksonville, Florida, Los Angeles, Tempe, Arizona, and Burbank, California. Go to JimmyGar.com for a link for those tickets. Hey, we have special guests with us, Keaton Weiss and Russell Dogler, the hosts of Do Dissident Show on YouTube, Rumble, and Substack. You know them, you love them. Hello, fellas.
Jimmy.
Pleasure to be here, though. This kind of kills the...
Like that, we back. It is Unpacked, back with another episode presented by the To Be Fair Show and
the G Shit Podcast.
I can't tell y'all how many weeks straight that we've been going, but we've been going for a minute, and this is going to kind of be our quote unquote season finale for this season. We have a panel full of fellas. Starting to my right, let's introduce ourselves and then we'll get into it.
What's good, everybody? It's G, host of the G Shit Podcast. Make sure y'all check that out wherever you get your podcasts, where we focus on family, friends, finances, freedom in our future, and fuck everything else. Ha!
Damn. To his Charlotte legend himself.
So what's up, everybody? Good to be here. Season recap. Let's get to it.
Below him, I see the name. Y'all know him. It is FBA.
I've never heard of this podcast before. It's 6 black guys.
We can't hear you, bro.
The clip says FBA versus Pan-Africanism Revisited. Is identity politics the American way? Is voting Trump off code? I don't know what that means, but for those who don't know, FBA stands for Fundamental or Foundational Black Americans. Looks like a group of, well, one guy, looks older, maybe late 40s, early 50s. But I like young guys. I like to hear young guys talk about politics. Let's see what they have to say. Before we get started, I always like to say this podcast is for entertainment purposes only. Entertainment purposes only, folks.
Man.
What's good, everyone? Trying to do my best to represent the Black American Freedom Movement.
Mm-hmm.
And glad to be a guest here. Have a good, intelligent conversation.
All right, beside him. Talk to him, Johnny.
It's your boy Johnny P, host of the To Be Fair Show. Every Sunday, 4 p.m. We here every Wednesday, 9:30. Yeah, looking forward to a great one. You know, this will be a good overall, recap, see how we feel.
Yeah. And last but not least, y'all see him. He be active in the chats. He's been on here 1 or 2 times. I can't remember exactly how many times he's been on here as a part of the panel. Kofi, talk to him.
Hey, what's up, y'all? Glad to be here. This is Kofi from Kofi the Black Critic. This is my channel. Looking forward to another great conversation with you, brothers.
You got a restricted message, bro.
All right.
Hey, good morning, everyone.
And I like to kind of throw curveballs here and there on the first question. So one of our random episodes that we did have was it was a Kevin Samuels episode. And I guess before we get into that, so again, this is the season finale. A part of the season finale, and why it is a season finale, on Monday I will be getting married, and then I'll be, going off honeymoon. So it's gonna be like a little break of about a good 2 weeks. And we're gonna get right
Seven
back to
Heaven,
it.
how's you doing?
But yeah, I feel like it is almost.
Congrats to you, man. Congrats.
Appreciate it.
We ain't gonna bring it back.
No, appreciate it. Oh, shit.
Yeah, we're just getting started in here. I'm still sipping my coffee, loading up this podcast with these guys. They're talking about politics, whatever, this morning, so we'll hear what they have to say. I'm probably gonna have to put some more paints on my palette too. Palette looking kind of thin right now. palette is looking. Oh shit! I dropped my grinder. God damn it! That's never ever good. If you drop your grinder. Luckily, it was empty. So, crisis averted. Let's be more careful from here on out. You know? Gots to be more careful. We can all be clumsy if we're not paying attention. If you're not paying attention, you can be clumsy. Yo, good morning, YouTubers. How's it going?
I might be able to swing. Listen, if you well, no, you know too many people to know that unless you got like money and that big catering bill, your head count be low. And with that head count, you be trying to squeeze in people. Like once you get like, and all my people have a lot of kids. Like they be like we got Southern family. Like I'm from New Jersey, but they moved up to New Jersey. Like all our roots is Southern. So like my mama come from a family of 5. My dad come from a family of 5, and all their kids got 5 and 6 kids. Like yeah, it'd be a lot of them.
Yeah, that ain't no big family. Yo, my grandmother, she was one of 12. And then my grandmother had 9. And then it started to break down after that. Like, my grandmother's kids, the most her kids had was like 3 apiece. But now, like some of my cousins, they got big families again. One of my cousins, she got 6. The other one, she has 5. But yeah, my sister only has 2 kids. No, damn, that's crazy. My sister has 3 kids. I only have 1. But for a long time, our family reunions were big as fuck. I'm talking about 60, 70 people. Big ass family reunions. Now, not so much. You know, our family reunions is like 15, 20 people.
Coming for the girls, man. I know they be feeling now.
And now listen, you gotta watch the what is it the little toss, the bouquet toss.
Oh yeah, you got that like jewelry.
So nonetheless, I think that this is a perfect time to see. Man, my bad, y'all. Listen, shout out to StreamYard. But some words from Samuels. We did a Kevin Samuels episode. These are his thoughts on a man and if he's prepared or ready to be in a marriage. And we can take that and we can kind of branch that into a little bit of the Kevin Samuels conversation and recap that. But I'll let it get y'all reaction, what y'all think about this first.
Is how do you find a woman that aligns with your values? For what outcome?
Marriage, long term, like just somebody, because I'm trying to build
Hold on. Talk to the guys 18 to 29. You're a different phase. So.
Oh, sorry.
But I'll answer the question. Are you in a position to have your wife quit?
Her job?
Yeah.
Take care of somebody? I think so. I mean, I'm not.
You make
saying
enough
I'm on
money.
my way up.
You make enough money to hire your woman.
I make about like 1,000 with bonuses or extra bonuses.
No, you don't. No, you don't. I mean, that's just reality. You don't make enough to hire your woman. Okay, well, no, not really. The question.
All right, so fellas, what is your thoughts?
Is he saying marriage is hiring a woman? Is that what he's saying?
Well, yeah, I guess in the sense of her needing to quit her job or have the ability to quit her job. Do y'all agree, disagree with that rubric for? It seems like he said younger, it's a little different, but 30 plus, you need to be able to hire your wife, make her quit her job.
Sense of like fully take care of her. I hear a lot of women say once they have to get pregnant or they first have the baby, they don't want to work during pregnancy or the first 2 years. And so with marriage, I think it's that idea of like to be the sole provider. Could you? And I guess in this rubric, you're not ready. You can't. I always got totally agree. Everybody's situations are different. Everybody's spending habits are different. But I do think you need to be able to be the main provider in our society, in this Western society, be married. Like, I'm starting to feel like it's a rich man game, Although it's not. There's always exceptions, but overall, it seems like you need to be able to take care of everything.
Gotcha. So, well, you kind of said that you didn't quite agree, right?
Yeah.
It's really each his own, but it would be nice if you did.
There are some people that love their careers, are passionate about what they do, and it brings on income. They don't want to stop, or they don't want to sit at home all day. But like I say, those are the exceptions. Some of them are leaning towards finding a man that can pay the majority of the bills, and they can be like a housewife.
So do you think that most men need to be able to quote unquote retire their woman to get married?
I think if you're a man and you seek marriage, that's going to open up your options if you can offer that, like, I can fully take care of you. Like I say, it's always women that maybe not on that date, but I think the majority, here, other countries I've been, they want the man to be the full financial provider, and then provide other ways with emotional support or cooking, cleaning, nurturing, managing your business. But most women's ideal man is the full-time provider, in my experience.
Trey.
First off, I like how you picked this clip because people always talk about him being overcritical of women, and then they forget that he did a lot of encouragement for men as well. And I think that's something good to aspire to. What he said there, but he didn't say retires. Like he said, hire her. So that means she'd still be doing something like productive and contributing, But she just wouldn't have to work and like listen to let another man be her boss. You would be the one who she's working for you. And ideally, the same way that she would treat her boss, when she'll listen. Like that's the thing too. I think if you hired your wife, would she treat you the same way that she treated her boss, or would she take advantage of that? And that's a very interesting thing because she'll take orders from her boss, but if it's her man, I don't know. I can't say for sure that she would just jump to it the way she would have worked, especially in this day and age of feminism. So that's my thoughts.
So do you think that a man should be able to hire his wife? Is that a prerequisite for most men just to get married?
I mean,
should that be a prerequisite? Or is it a prerequisite? I guess maybe it should be yeah.
I wouldn't say a prerequisite because then really nobody would get married. And the people who could afford that might be able to afford to hire multiple wives. And I think we would go back to the age where that was the norm. So I don't know if that would even be feasible.
Okay. Johnny.
I mean, if you're getting enough money, idealistically, you got the infrastructure set up to where you could do that. Like, who wouldn't want to do that? Like, who wouldn't want to live with your family? Realistically, it can't be a prerequisite. You gotta realistically, like a lot of women are making a lot of money, and it's like I think that only can be to the benefit if we work together. I think two incomes are better than one. Idealistically, I would love to have another hire my wife and put her on the team and let's get it together. So I mean, but to get married, I don't think it has to be. I think you can still get married and continue to work towards that goal.
Got you. All right, so now we get into the marriage side of the panel. Jenny, kick us off. What is your thoughts? Was that a prerequisite when you first got married? Your prerequisite today?
Nah, man, not at all. Like I view marriage as a business decision, and from a business standpoint, you want a business with somebody who you can trust, somebody who can take care of the business if something happens to you. You don't, if you're partnering up to operate a business, I don't necessarily think the best strategy is to be in this like asymmetry of like clear power where you're with this person because you can kind of control this person, in other words. And so I feel like the real prerequisite for pursuing marriage is being able to take care of yourself. One, like, have you established the ability to provide for your own self? And two is like, do you have the ability to with a mutual contract with somebody that both parties respect, right? Like, if you sign up to be married as a dude, but you don't want to honor what you feel like though that duty should be, like if you're not mature enough to handle those responsibilities, you shouldn't even act like you're ready for such a leap as a man. And if you can't take care of yourself as a man, if you need your wife to work to live as a man, you shouldn't get married. You got to be able to hold things down for the household. And ultimately, if you can take care of yourself, you partner up with somebody, like that should become an easier feat than doing it by yourself. You see what I'm saying? So I feel like as long as you can hold things down on your own and you have the maturity to keep yourself disciplined and accountable to what your duties are as a husband, then you should take that next step. If you find a good partner, obviously.
Trey, I know you got something, but wait a quick second. Let me get to Kofi. Kofi, talk to us. I think you said, what, you married 20 years?
Yeah, like 20 plus. I'm pretty much agree with Johnny and what G says. This shouldn't be a prerequisite at all. I'm not sure the framing of how he put it, that you should hire your wife. I don't know what that means, but realistic in this day and age, from my situation, I come from a two-parent household. My wife comes from a two-parent household. We've seen both of our parents work, so to us, that's just natural. If we're in position to, hey, look, you can stay home and everything will be paid, I hold everything down, that's fine. I mean, there are instances where, I have 5 children, so, I have 2 sons, and my wife was pregnant for like about 2 years, so she couldn't work for about 2 years. I was holding it down, but would it help if she was working? Yeah, but she wasn't able to. She enjoyed not working or whatever. He said, okay, if I know I'll go back to work, our lifestyle will be much better. We'll be able to travel more, do things 40s and 50s where he's established himself. So I think that's probably what he was talking about. Like, well, of course not if you're 18 to 20, it doesn't apply to you. But again, his stats is basically saying you're not going to make real money. That's if you're an average man. The average man, I think he said, to make in the United States is 40 or 100 grand. You got to make 100 grand plus. So that's not realistic. So realistically, a marriage is a union, a marriage is a partnership, and that's just how it works. So,
got you.
This question is not a prerequisite. It's not necessary. No.
Got you, Trey. You want to hop in?
Oh yeah, I always hear you talk about what a man's supposed to do, and I know you like defend women a lot and kind of always.
The question was about men, not women.
I understood, but based on that. I'm curious, like, just from your perspective, can I ask, like, what a woman should be able to, like, do you expect anything from
Yeah,
her?
but that wasn't, I can answer that question, but that was not the question at hand.
I understand that. So we don't have to get into it if it's too off topic, but it seemed like a lot of like that seemed like a lot. So that just begged the question of like
what seemed like a lot, by the way? Like what's a lot to you?
Man, you listed a lot of different criteria for what a man's supposed to do. So I was like wondering
Listed
like
2 things.
Those 2 things.
2 things. That he needs to be able to take care of himself,
right,
and be mature enough to hold him.
That's it.
Boom. That's it. What did you disagree with there?
I wasn't taking notes when you were talking, but I agree with those 2 things. But I could have sworn your answer was a lot longer than that. But I'll digress.
All right, so all the other fellas, I know kind of Kofi and I know G explicitly lined out this the answer to this question. But to y'all, what does a 30+ year old man need to have in place before thinking about marriage?
I would basically say at that point in your life, you should be able to master your finances and know what your goals are, what you want in life, what you want from yourself, right? And where you're headed in life before you look for a partner to partner up with somebody, right? So you have to master yourself, know who you are, know what you want, what your goals are. So when you do find someone, you know who's the right fit for you.
All right, so that sounds like financially stable. Everybody agree with that?
Pretty spot on.
Okay.
I think maturity might be thrown in there because I think there's a certain level.
You can repeat what you said, but I guess that was a lot. It's like I don't like.
I had a little internet. I had a little internet issue. My bad, bro. But yeah, if you said that, I totally agree.
Now, Johnny, I agree with you, bro. I agree with what you said.
Yeah.
This is infighting right now. This is G and Trey. But now, A Black.
Yeah, I honestly think, like I said, it's not really a blanket answer. Like it depends on the type of woman you want, the quality of woman you want.
So let me ask you this: is there anything that all 30+ year olds should have in place?
She had a bare minimum thing, a car, your own place, a suitable place. Because I mean, you can have a nice place and be having a roommate or something. And a steady income, you know, at least the average or above average income, which I put in the chat, 45,000 is the average. I mean, you solo by yourself, I feel like you should at least be at that 50K range. You know, but like it depends on what woman you want. Some women, all you need is a car to impress them. Some women, they looking at your credit, they looking at your family background, they're looking at a lot of other factors. So that's why I say it depends on the quality of woman. And typically, so we start with Kevin Samuels, the men and the women are looking for high value men, and the men are looking for the baddest bitches, you know, or whatever. So he bases his criteria around that group typically likes and what they typically select. So if you are speaking this, you know, this bad looking bitch, this foreign chick or whatever, who can have any kind of man, you have to come with a certain income. You have to come with like a certain about you that's above average, that's not average. But if you are comfortable, who's available to you sometimes, not asking for as much, you know. So it's depends on what you like, you know. On this high value man, 6 feet, looks like this, makes this amount of money, you might want to look like this and have this body type, like you said. You know, if you're a man and you want a girl that's courtside of the game, because you don't see with sex workers. There's not no diss to them, but it's like see what people are selected. That this what you need to be to get that, you know. But there are people in your lane that's cool with what you got already. You know, usually people kind of want more than what they are in most cases.
Gotcha. All right, Trey, talk to us.
Man, I think what women want today is a lot more than what I think typically women wanted during like our grandparents' era. Because I've never seen so much designer in my life, you know? Like I think our grandparents' era, they would want to get older and get a Cadillac. Nowadays, a lot of women, I mean, not all, there are definitely some women that aren't very materialistic, but I think materialism has really taken a different form with this day where everyone can pick up their phone and they see what everyone else is doing, keeping up with the Jones. And I think that does, if the pressure is on men to provide all of that, especially at a younger age, that's a lot of pressure. So I think if you find someone who is a builder, or if you're on your way up, I think that's probably a better avenue for women. I think it's also, as a man, if you get to that point, a lot of men who you're not gonna go your whole life and get successful and then marry someone your age that wouldn't have talked to you when you were younger. You know, that doesn't seem very fair. So,
but the question was, what do men like? What should men have in place, right? Like, I'm curious to hear your opinion on that too, though. Like, from like, what do you think is the bare minimum a man should have to pursue marriage with an individual?
I'm saying that I think you have to take into consideration what the expectations are in this day and age. And I think that if you're lady, a lot of, women in this era, you're going to have to consider that what you bring to the table is not going to be like the humble life. I mean, you're lucky to find a woman who is okay with that, or not being able to, because at 50K, you're going to have a harder time being able to like make her feel in a position where she's looking at like they see the woman with the bags, they hear about all this other stuff, the materialism, everything. You're not going to be able to provide that. So I think if you want to be able to have like the women that in this modern age and be able to provide for them, I think it's going to take you're going to have to make buku bucks.
Just for like the average person to get married?
I think unless you find that special someone. Because I think
So you think most women are looking for multi-thousandaire?
Way more now than there was before. I think that number's gone up a lot because again, the social media people are constantly comparing themselves to what else is out there.
You think they could be like a loud minority?
I don't know, man, because they beating that drum so steady. Like when you listen to the music, you listen to it's an indoctrination now, You hear people, like, the comment sections are full of people say, you even hear people talk, and even in conversations, they're, like, looking for a bag. You see, like, 80%.
No, I guess I get that, but I guess, like, if we use that same example, in the music, you would imagine that, like, every guy has a BBL queen that's bad as hell, and, you know what I mean, probably used to be a stripper or something like that. But in reality, and you see, like, most guys that are dating, they be with regular women.
Yeah, but,
with regular jobs, and they just be together.
Dating or marriage, though. I thought you were talking about marriage, because you can easily...
Especially marriage. It'd be, like, mad regular people with regular women. That's what I be seeing. I guess it's not, like, my anecdotal evidence. Where, like, the loud minority for sure would be, whether it's like the Glorillaz and Megans and everything that they say they want out of a female, or everything that Moneybagg Yo say that he want out of a female.
Well, I'll say these days there are less married people than ever. So I think that's more evidence of what I'm saying. Like, the ones who are married, yeah, but it's like a lot of the sisters are like, it's like 25%, like one in four, whereas at one point it was like dang near all. Like in our grandparents' era, like people were getting remarried. I think the erosion of like gender roles has really made it to where it takes away a lot of the value that men had in marriage. Like, what do you want a person that's like just going to be like another like a homie, and then I think she's gonna want a man who's gonna be a provider. There's a lot that goes into it. I think.
So Trey, let me ask you this last question before we get off of like the red pill episode that we was on. You posed it, so I'll ask it to you, and we'll kind of go around. What should that woman have in place?
I think
before getting married.
Shout out to Kevin Samuels. Fit, feminine, and friendly is the main criteria. Because I think a man would rather have a woman who has all those things than any woman with a BBL or a baddie or anything like that with a bad attitude. Because most men really just want peace.
Okay. Who wanna hop in?
I mean, I get what Trey's saying. I mean, my wife, she has a lot of female cousins in their 30s, very successful. You know, they make good money. And in this day and age, Trey's saying there's a lot of people like in their 30s, my sister-in-law included, they're just not married. And I guess people are more goal orientated, or I don't think marriage is as valued as someone, I guess, from my age and my generation. You know, they don't have that many kids and things like that. So, like, you know, she probably makes, I don't know, I'm gonna assume she's like a nurse practitioner, you know, so she probably makes about 100 grand or just a little bit under that. And she was like, hey, look, I want a man that makes something close to that. I mean, I kind of had like a back and forth, but I was like, yeah, but she getting all these guys that make good money, but at the same time, maybe you should focus on the money that they're making. Maybe you need to look at the security guard there that's pulling in maybe 50K. And he probably have a lot more to offer than offering the financial aspect of the relationship. Yeah, this guy, he's buying you $100 shoes, he could take you anywhere and stuff like that. But I said, what are you marrying? You marrying his bank account, or are you marrying the man himself? And I think we need to determine, when we have people that are single and looking for people, what is your value system? Because once you understand their value system, then you kind of understand where you fail. For the short spaces of time where I was single, I was like, I was just thinking, okay, this person is single for a reason. I need to find out why. I live with that. So I kind of understand what Trey's saying. Yeah.
But to react to the question, what should a woman have in place for getting married? 30-plus-year-old woman.
I'll basically.
Or is there anything she should have in place?
I mean, basically, when I was there, just women is just not crazy and just lying. You know, I mean, a lot of lying, crazy women. My whole thing wasn't finding attractive women. Is the values that their values match my values, right? So basically, their values have to match your values in order for you to get along, right? Because you kind of, they're not your best friend, but you're hoping this person could potentially be your right hand, your right hand, and basically you have to pretty much have the same values, wants, and needs, pretty much.
Gotcha. So kind of mentally stable, mentally/emotionally stable. That's kind of would be an easy way to wrap it. Johnny, talk to us.
You know, build on that one a little bit, I think.
And I'll actually re-ask you the question. What should a 30-plus-year-old woman have in place before thinking marriage?
I think the vision of wife she wants to be, that aligns with like the type of wife that you want, that you need. Being that, like, I think, because not everybody has the same upbringing, and some women, some people, unfortunately, didn't have, you know, examples of, you know, healthy relationships. And sometimes that leads to trauma, sometimes that leads to you not knowing what a healthy relationship is. And whether you get that from your family, your life experiences, your friends, I think she should have those examples to give a vision of what kind of wife she want to be. That's the line with, like, you know, the person that you need. I think that's something important, even on both sides too. I think that's something.
Okay, got you. Hey, and I guess quick housekeeping before we keep going. So we got a few of y'all inside the chat. We plus 20 right now inside. I need y'all to hit the actual chat. Comment. Y'all done slowed up a little bit. Talk to us. Let us know your thoughts. Obviously, the housekeeping would say there are super chats on G-ish podcast page. There's super chats on the To Be Fair show page. Kofi, I don't know if you got super chat set up, but
no.
I'll let him. He's also streaming. There is everybody's Cash App listed inside the description. If you like what Trey's saying, tell something to him. I see the support in the chat, right? Oh, my bad.
Yeah.
Listen, the kids told me no Diddy.
Yeah.
Johnny's famous is
well, mine's still going on there, so I just wanted to make sure.
Johnny trying to get tipped like a stripper. Tell him, Johnny.
Hey, I took
Onyx on Onyx on Wednesdays. But yeah, nonetheless, Talk to us, A Black. The woman have in place 30 plus. Anything that woman should have in place. Outside of what's already been said.
30 plus, I mean, yeah, way simpler. Like, we're not looking, I guess 30 plus, you expect at least a car, but shit, anything can happen. You might be the chicks, you might just have accident. So, most of the stuff men look for on the inside, you know, her outside, her physical, her being clean, being in a clean place.
I think that's major right there.
Dudes are very simple. If she's into you, like, we'll bag the chick that's bad at the Chipotle, like, who's like just a dope ass chick, and that's just where it's it. Like Delta. But a woman won't even consider a man most of the time. Like, to even get to a conversation, oh, man, he's a good dude, you know, he work at Family Dollar, but you know, his life is out of there. Women don't even consider that. They're looking at the flash, the job. They want to know where you work. That's why women count your pocket, asking your job, what you do, and stuff like that. Think about who you are for real. Like, we want you to be bad and fine, but even like we talked about the music earlier, impressionable towards the women and them kind of creating this mind state of money, money, money. Like, dudes want bad chicks or whatever. A few of them might rip out the yell. They all have the same thing they want is loyalty. Like, even the rich dudes want loyalty. Like, you only be into me. You know, you don't gotta bring nothing. I think what happens now is like these crazy expectations on men. Like, this society is not setting us up to provide that. That men are pushing back, like, well, if I have to be this and have this, then you should have this and you should bring this to the table, and just back and forth. But really, we don't care. Like I said, if a woman is gorgeous and she's a good woman, we don't care what that woman has. And man will fucking do whatever he got to get her what she needs, like any kind of man. If she's totally into him and he feels that, she makes him feel like a man, that's really all a woman gotta do. Like, be loyal, be into you, be clean and shit. And like, niggas don't care what you got. You got a busted down car, but you bad, a dude don't care. You got a busted down car and you a great nigga, a woman might not even get a conversation with you, but she saw you pull up at the parking lot. Like, so we different. We're visual. You know, it's a lot of lust and primal energy out here with men, but for the most part, like, men just want a woman that's into them. Like, whatever you come with, if you're fine and you cool, like, we can make that shit work. But niggas gotta have all this external stuff, and that's why a lot of women choose the wrong men. Like, are settle or tolerate so much crazy shit from men because of what they have, what they can do for them financially. Like, the shit I've heard that women tolerate because the dude pays her rent, you know, gives her a couple of thousand and shit every 2 weeks or something.
Probably wild.
Crazy. But they get in that mode of like, this is what they're telling us a man is. Somebody that can give you money, that can pay for your nails, to buy you weed, take you on trips, and you don't never show them, like, all this stuff. And it is like gasoline on fire with social media, with the music. Because like I said, the women are the biggest consumers of music. They're more impressionable. They're probably the biggest consumer of social media, reality TV, always constant external validation. So they project that on us and have become defensive over these past 5 to 10 years. Of like, nah, like, all right, you bring it. It ain't like that. You don't want to provide at the end of the day.
Gotcha. Well, again, I'm trying to think of like an easy way to sum that up. Would being a stable adult outside, I mean, without the help of a man, be like pretty much an easy way to sum up everything?
And I would say, yeah, man. Hey, can I say something y'all might like real quick, man? I want to say,
hold on,
fellas,
does the family represent? Oh no, that was Black. No, I said, did that fairly represent kind of what, like a quick little sum up of what you were saying?
Say your sum up again.
No, I just said being a stable adult, like in general, whether that's mentally, not having to depend on like a guy, and where you end up being inside like a very specific scenario, as though you kind of was talking about. I think you hit on like other like tropes that kind of dealt with what men have to do, but like if this was like your little sister, or it feels like your like a good friend girl that you had, what would you tell her to make sure that she had? To me, it sounds like you were saying, like, just make sure that you're stable without a man, so that you don't have to like deal with that as leverage.
yeah, I would have everything that you expect, have everything that you can reciprocate. You know, like that's when you actually deserve something. You can do it for yourself too. And it's nice to find someone that can come in your life and do it for you. But if you can't get your own hair done, if you can't for your own school or get your way and just do the same things you expect a man to give you or come with, then you're gonna always be choosing someone that's not good for you. So I would tell them like, yo, have what you want already, and you know you're gonna attract. Usually, you'll attract people on your level when you got what you want.
Gotcha. All right, so G, so far we have mentally stable, emotionally stable, being able to be pretty much, you know what I mean, just a stable adult on their own to where they're not dependent on anybody, especially financially, clean, loyal. Anything else?
Clean is not even like you. If you're not clean, we not even like you know. We like clean ain't even shouldn't even be mentioned here. Like if you're not clean, we.
It sound like maybe these have to make sure that they clarify clean with females. I
you know.
But talk to us. Do you have anything else that you want to add to that list?
You forgot the 3 F's, but yeah.
No,
fit. My bad. Fit, feminine, and friendly.
Look, I agree with the Kevin Samuels.
And freaky, I don't know. Maybe that's the last half. But
it definitely is a boost. You feel what I'm saying? Like,
bro, here y'all go.
But the thing is, like,
damn, FBA don't like sex either. God damn it, Trey.
You said freaky.
Yeah, like this. Not inside like the wildest way of like. I don't know if you take that to like an LGBTQ. And like the way they used to use it in like the 90s when Martin Lawrence used to say. Yeah, like
99 freaky.
Yeah, that's all.
Yeah,
no, not that. Not that. Oh, you're right. I guess like Kendrick has bastardized freaky. You I'll take it away. G, talk to us.
So
anything outside of those things?
So I would say for me, I'll boil it down to two things. The biggest thing for a woman to be ready, she has to have the ability to respect his boundaries. If you can't respect his boundaries when he clearly articulates, like for example, want to be talked to that way, don't speak to me that way again.
Omizu, what's good,
You can't
bro?
respect that as a boundary in terms of how y'all communicate. You're not ready to be wifey material, right?
Yeah,
like,
face looking good, man.
I don't think it's a man's job to tell a woman what to do,
Oh, shit.
but it's a man's job to establish what he's going to accept within a relationship.
Nobody was in there.
And if you don't have and if you as on the other side as a woman, if you can't respect that man's boundaries, you don't need to move forward marrying that man. And the second point is, I think women often make a mistake is they think that if they do certain things, this nigga will change. No, you need to understand that you got to be realistic about who you're talking to and who you're dealing with versus idealistic. That woman has to understand that just because she does X, Y, or Z, it's not going to mean that this man will change into something else over time. You got to understand who this person is. It's like when Dennis Green was like, they are who we thought they were. Like, you got to understand, like, what he's showing you is what he's presenting.
Yeah, some of that Napoleon complex rage coming out too.
He did, but at the same time, when you know what you're going up against, like you, as a woman, in my opinion, you shouldn't marry someone expecting them to change in the long run. That's not a good strategy, in my opinion. So to me, those are really two key things. If you can't respect boundaries and honor what your man has in place in terms of how he's going to be treated and how he should be respected, don't do it. And if you think that he's just going to change into this man that you picture in your head, like this picturesque husband, he's not that now, hasn't shown you that now, but he's going to turn into this over time. Like, you might want to figure out or acknowledge the fact that what he is who he is. And at the core, what his whole say, like, you can change, but that's just the top layer. Like, you was who you was before you got here. You got to understand, like, at the core, we're all what we are. We grow and evolve, but we don't really, we're still the same animal, really. We just transform into the next evolution of that thing. It doesn't really change at the core.
All right, so to summarize that, respect boundaries, and don't believe in potential.
Yeah.
Let me add to that real quick because what G
Yeah.
said was very powerful. I believe because again, you know, when I met my wife, we were probably dating for like 2-3 years. The last year when I proposed to her, I was like, hey, look, because we weren't living together. So when we were engaged, we lived together for a year. And after a year, we feel that, hey, look, this is still what we want to do. We went ahead with it. And I remember on the day we decided to get married, I said, hey, look, I never been married before. She never been married before. I'm like, hey, look, I'm marrying you because I love who you are, what you are. I love being a part of your life. I love what you give me. I don't want nothing to change. This is just a piece of paper, right? Nothing's going to change at this point, right? This is what we're doing legally, you know, and I established that. So it wasn't. So what G's saying is absolutely right. Do not get married to the person who you love. Don't get married to the possibility of the person who you wish, you know, whatever you wish to be. So that was powerful.
Gotcha. If I was to add one thing, I'd say,
two married brothers too. So
this is a fact.
those are experts.
To me, I think that I don't think that anybody's hit on yet. I think that it's important to, especially if you're 30 plus, have a history of at least a few recent healthy relationships. Like it's like as simple as that. I know, like if I'm like dating it and I'm outside, like I'm kind of like paying attention to that when I talk to a person. Like that's one of them like quick early vetting, like red, like you know, like you draw the red line underneath that question, because of like if you don't have any version of a history of healthy relationships, it's probably some shit that you got to figure out. But nevertheless, that is that. Any closing remarks, or we kind of like beat this one like a dead horse, to be honest.
Because I think because a lot of this comes from I want to say a lot of this stuff we talking about when we talk about complaining, I want to blame the simps for a lot of this too, because they have kind of coddled this and this behavior. Like you see the dudes wifing up strippers and everything like that. So women see that and they're like, oh, it can be like me too. So I think men need to do a better job of like standing their ground and not like just tolerating a lot of this, because otherwise you're just gonna end up, you know, creating the people that you want to go against. And the last thing I think is black men, we haven't had any, we've been kind of in a, I mean, I love my sisters, but we're the only race that really hadn't had a choice until like 20, 30 years ago. So I think sometimes it feels like as black men, we get things taken for granted, especially like with politics. I would say black women are the backbone of the Democratic Party, you know what I'm saying? They do things to advocate for them and everything like that. So I think what you're seeing now, especially with a lot of brothers, like, you know, speaking up on things, I think that's a reaction to, you know, us like trying to assert trying to get some respect, because black men's masculinity in America has never been really respected until recent times. And that's like going on like centuries of history here in America. So I think we have to put everything in the context.
Gotcha. So moving it forward, we have again, this is the season finale. Drop super chat. We got G-ish podcast streaming. You got the TV Fair Show streaming. You have Kofi that is streaming. Wherever you're viewing this from, hit the super chats and then hit them cash apps. But nonetheless, season finale, we're recapping the season. So we did get into some, well, I'll probably say like maybe at least half of our conversations has evolved around some level of Black identity. And so, with that said, I believe Trey sent in this meme, and I'll use this as a marker, kind of kick off the conversation. Me and Trey had a little spirited message conversation about what is Black, what actually is Black. So after I play this, I'd love for y'all to answer. What is Black, and has your definition of what Black?
Okay, this is very. I've always tried to give my own personal definition of what is Black. It's very hard to it's very hard to define what is black. But first of all, I need a fucking toothpick. I think black is a very American concept, and the more modern usage of black, it's definitely American, because we've here in America, black denotes a specific ethnic racial group, and I think you're only black if you are a part of that group that has been through all the racial iterations. So we've been called Negroid, Negro, colored, black, and African American. Now, if your lineage in this country hasn't been through all those iterations of identity placed upon that ethnic group by the establishment, then you're not a part of it. You're not a part of it. It's a very uniquely American thing. And I use Marcus Garvey as a big example. Marcus Garvey came to this country and he started the UNIA movement, did magnificent things, founded newspapers and founded a cruise line, but he was from Jamaica. He was a dark-skinned man from Jamaica, a Jamaican. And when he came to America, he couldn't understand why people who looked like him allowed themselves to be treated the way they were. And so he really tried to change things. But then he realized that these people consider themselves black. And he didn't. He wasn't a black man. He was a Jamaican. So once again, my categorization of a black person is someone who has a lineage in this country from the times of slavery, who have been through all the iterations. Black is not just a racial description, it's also a cultural description, almost like Jew. Jew is a race, a culture, and a religion, all in one. So is black. And so many people who have highly melanated skin who live in this country still do not meet the qualifications of black. You may look black, but you're not. Just like this is very, very racist. This is gonna sound so bad. Just like a Chinese man going to Japan or wherever. You may look a little bit the same, but you're not. You're definitely not the same people. You know what I'm saying? Or Vietnamese going to Korea. You may look the same, but you're not the same. You're not. And so some people may look black. You may look black, but you're not black. Black is a very, very, very distinctive moniker for a very distinctive portion of people in this country. And I think black only pertains to people in this country because once again, when you step outside of the United States, people refer to themselves as their country and nationality. You're Norwegian, or Finnish, or you're Zimbabwean. You know what I'm saying? Or you're South African. Brazilian, or whatever. People around the world don't use these color markers the way that it's exactly the way that it's used here in the United States. But the Western color scale is so popular that, yeah, in more recent times, people do in other countries and parts of the world are familiar with how we label each other here in America. But black people know who black people are, and we know who black people aren't. And there's a lot of imposters, like $5 Indians. And so, what is black? Also, if you're biracial, I don't think you're either one. You're biracial. You're both. You are both. You are Indian and Jamaican. Are you black and you're white? Are you German and you're Scottish? You're both. You're biracial. Now, if you're biracial and you're brought up, or you lean more towards one culture or one side of your ethnicity than the other, and you identify more with one culture over the other, that's fine too. You can be mixed and, you know, just hang around your black side of the family more and listen to more black music or whatever, and identify more with your blackness. Or you can be mixed and identify more with your other side, you know, and that's fine too. And that's fine too. But you're neither one. You are not one or the other. You're mixed. So I don't like when mixed people say, "Oh, I'm black" or "I'm white." No, you're not. No, you're not. You're both, and be proud. You're both. You're very unique in that way to have, you know, mixed heritage, and that's fucking cool. So a very, like I say, my answer is always long for that one. What is black? And so that's why these guys have to have a conversation, or they have had a conversation about it, because it takes a conversation, and it takes a lot of different viewpoints. And I've I've been in this conversation a long time with different people, and it's taken me a while to come to my conclusion of what I would consider, you know, black to be. And that's it, you know what I'm saying? You have to look at it the same way you look at a Jew. Because black is just more than a skin color, it's more than an ethnicity, and it's more than cultural aspects. It's all of it. And that's why it was so easy for Kendrick Lamar to call into question Drake's blackness. Like, yeah, you're mixed, you're biracial, but are you black? Buddy. You know, even J. Cole, I love his music. Logic, all these guys, you know? But are you, I'm sorry. Yeah, and that's one of those things that me and several people we just don't agree on. I messed this color up. Damn it! I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Shit. Let me see something real quick. Yeah, me and a few people don't agree on that. Cause like I said, I know some biracial people who will just claim like, well, if I grew up this way and I feel this way, then I'm this. And the one drop rule, and they always say if anything mixes with black, then it's considered black. And then some people say you are your father. Some people say you are your mother. You are whatever race of the vagina you came out of. Then some people say that the father determines the XX or XY, and so people would say you are the race of the father. He's the one who determines who you are. Why am I not? I might have to redo this whole background. Son of a bitch. Well, I did plan on just lighting it up a little bit anyway, so I ain't gonna be too mad at myself. But I want to try to reshape his face a little bit. So his picture's a little blurry. Now that I look at it more, his face has a little more of a dip in it right there. Alright. Something like that, I guess. Alright. I feel better like that. That looks a little better. More like it was just a little smidget. I had to just push his cheek in just a little teeny bit. The smallest amount. It wasn't terrible, but I don't know. I feel better about it now. But yeah, that's my idea of what black is. How long has your family been here? Are you a descendant? I think blacks, African Americans, are descendants of the slaves, bro. If you're not a descendant of the slaves and your family has been mixing and mixing and mixing for a long time, then you're not black. Bro, I'm from South Carolina. Me and my aunt been doing our family lineage. We've been in South Carolina for a couple 100 years, bro. And the furthest back we've gotten is 1877. So it was just a few years after slavery, but our family was a sharecropper. I think we went back to a sharecropper. Last name, Jacobs. But the sharecropper was on the plantation of a well-known slaver. So more than likely that family was owned by that slaver before they were sharecroppers. We're just still looking for a little more paperwork on that shit. But we pretty much know who used to own us. needed a toothpick and a bathroom break. I had that steak for breakfast. I had a piece of steak in my damn tooth. That shit would not come out. Is Prince a Caribbean surname? We're not exactly sure where the Prince came from. And I actually misspoke about Jacobs. We traced our family back to Wingates, and a part of our family, they're still Wingates to this day. But yeah, we went from Wingate to Brown, and from Brown, so my great grandmother was Brown. She married, so my great grandmother was a Wingate, and she married to a Brown, and they had 12 kids. So my grandmother was Brown, and my grandmother married Prince. But yeah, like me and my aunt, we just were tracing our matriarch side of the family back. And I don't know why we haven't traced the Prince name back. I need to ask my aunt. Yeah, let's trace our Prince. But we wanted to go to the oldest name, so back to her grandmother to see where that name came from. But yeah, I don't know where Prince come from actually. It's definitely I looked it up I looked it up one time before, and Prince is definitely English, and it is a derivative of like the royal titles, and I forgot how it became more common as a surname than as instead of a royal title. But yeah, our family goes a long way back, and we've been in South Carolina for hundreds of years, bro. Like, that shit is wild. And believe it or not, even my grandmother warned against like mixing, I remember I had a white girl come over, and she was my sister's friend, and she came to the house one time, and I was kind of flirting with her, and when she left, my grandma said, "You watch out for them white girls now. They can get you in trouble." And that's all she said. It was very simple. She said, "Watch out for them because they can get you in trouble." I was like, okay. But like, yeah, we ain't do no mixing for a long, like, my grandmother's children are like, that's the first generation to mix, because one of my aunts is married to a white man. My favorite uncle too, and they've been married for fucking 35 years. But yeah, she was the first. My aunt was like the first person to enter like an interracial relationship, and she was already married once before to a black man, and she met her husband in the army. But yeah, and they got 2 kids. And like I said, my cousins, they kind of identify more with their white side of with their father's side of the family, and that's cool. You know what I'm saying? I think that's perfectly fine. And he's a very good man, and he's had a big influence on his kids. He's been their father, and he's been there to raise them their entire lives, and so of course they would gravitate towards the histories that he shared. But too, my cousins, they're mixed. They're not black, they're not white, they're mixed people who identify more with their white side, and that's fine. I still love them to fucking death, That's fine and dandy. So yeah, I wouldn't say, oh, you know, my black cousins. No, they're my mixed cousins. My mixed first cousins, you know, their mom and my mom are fucking sisters. So we're one step away from being siblings. You know? So once again, a super 45-minute answer to what is black. What is black? But Kamala Harris, she ain't it. Barack Obama, he ain't it. Drake, he ain't it. They some people who look black that ain't black. They just not. Simple as that, bro.
Is evolved since kind of we've started having these conversations. So let me push play. Maybe this might not work. This might be some Kamala. Trey, I didn't watch this. Is this Kamala? Play it anyway.
Africans coming to the United States are immigrants, first and foremost. Then, or whatever country they're from, and then at some point.
Yeah, we're gonna pause this for a second. Fellas, I'd love for y'all to just hop into the pose question.
What you thought I was saying something crazy?
Oh no, I thought that this was something that I was talking about, like identity markers as being black. But this is for like a further conversation that we're gonna end up having. Yeah. So I'll re-ask the question. The question is, what do you define as black? And has that evolved from the conversations inside season
1? You know, going in order or just jump in?
Matter of fact, we can start this one in order. We'll start with G.
And the question is, what is black, right?
Yeah, what is black? Yep.
Right. So
you define as black.
So I think there's black in America, but black is American is one thing I would say. It's something that.
Okay, he's starting off really good. Black is an American thing, right? That's one of my main talking points right there. That's actually the first thing that I say too. I like this guy. If we're talking about black, it really should be in the American context. And on top of that, I am American. I've been born here, raised here, and I've never lived anywhere else. So my idea of blackness is the American concept of what blackness is and how people of color, descendants of African Americans, not just any people of color, how we define our culture. And once again, we know who is black. We know what black is.
Really doesn't exist until people of color come over to America and start to understand that classification system as it relates to race. But even within the black community, we do need to establish that there's a difference between people who are black that are from America, that descend, the ADOS crowd, the FBA crowd, versus the other black Americans that immigrated here more recently. And so I think black speaks to what you look like in America, ultimately. You know, and that's in large part due to like this idea of a one drop rule that I always heard growing up. Like it didn't take a lot to be black. All you had to do was have a little drop. But you had to basically be pure to be called something else, to be Indian or white or whatever the case. But if you were mixed or you had a quarter or a third, you were going to be considered black. So I feel like in America, black speaks to what you look like, but we can't confuse what you look like as it relates to people who descend from American slavery and people who just got here. Those are two different types of black Americans, in my opinion.
Gotcha. And let me ask, I'm gonna add on to the question. So I'll keep it with you. Can somebody outside of America be black? or is that just like only a American terminology, colloquialism, whatever words you want to use?
You know, black culture spreads just like all our culture, right? Hip hop spreads, like, but at the end of the day, you don't understand what that means until you come to America. So if you want to identify as black in the UK or in France or the Caribbean or whatever you call it, like, more power to you. But what originated as the black experience, that's not it. You got to be over here to understand what that really means, in my opinion.
Okay. A Black.
Mm-hmm.
I think you muted.
Yeah.
So me and that guy are basically. He just said it a lot shorter than I did, but basically, you have to understand. You have to have been here. This is where the black experience is. You know, y'all in other countries. Once again, if you're in France, you're French, or you're Arabic, or Arabian, or whatever. You know, you're not black. You're not. You're fucking Guyanese, or Sudanese, or Pakistani. Or you know who can get real dark? Taiwanese people can get real dark skin. Even Mexican people. I've seen Mexicans darker than me, but they're Mexican. They're not black. So to be black, once again, is like he said, it's a very American thing. It's an American experience, and it is a difference. No matter how dark your skin is, if you're not aware of the culture, if you haven't been brought up in the culture, then you can't consider yourself black. It's a
Like
unique
American.
thing.
It's a social construct in America, specifically a visual identifier, simply based on color, and the dark is the color. So can anybody come to America and be black? Yeah. Wherever you come from the diaspora, if you are dark skinned, as soon as you cross these borders, you become black, because that's how you visualize, that's how you categorize, that's what's on our census, it's what's on our job forms. It's the identifier for, you know, people of color. So, and then beyond that, it's a culture. So it's a talk, it's a music, it's the euphemisms that we all share, but even if we don't know each other, that, you know, were kind of created and crafted in this American cauldron, this culture, where we all kind of became our own type of Africans. So, I mean, that's what we are if we're going genetically. For the majority of us is Africans, but black people, you know, through slavery, through Jim Crow, through segregation, and do like probably the worst oppression that anybody around the world has faced from white people, you know, created us to be like this small 13% that's completely different from the diaspora, but influencing it all. So you can be black in other countries, like specifically, especially the UK, because they have similar dynamics. They didn't have, I feel like, as hard, because most of them a lot of times become Jamaican and African immigrants, but second and third generation, they would be considered their version of black, or the black Brits and whatnot. You know, they're the minority in color there. So yeah, in essence, it's just a culture for real, but it's American, and it can influence, you know, other sects where we are minorities in other parts of the world. You can become black there as well.
Okay, so just for clarification. So in essence, sound a lot of what you were saying is that black kind of ends up being, or black is more than anything a cultural experience.
Mm-hmm. That's the thing right there. Like, black just isn't a color. Like, you just don't. I mean, yeah, black is a culture. It's not just a race.
So with this, so are Jamaicans in Jamaica black? or they just
damn, they're bringing up all the shit I just said. Because that's black Jamaicans are a good example. Like, no, they're not black. They're Jamaican. And if you go to Jamaica and ask them, they're gonna say, "I'm Jamaican." What are you? What are you? They're not gonna say I'm black. Where are you from? I'm from here, Jamaican. I'm a Jamaican. Like there wouldn't be another answer they could give you.
they're not black. Or Africans in Africa, are they black? Or are those like black people?
Yeah, like I said, once you come over here, the visual.
But not coming to America, like as in like where they're at.
No, they are what they are where they are.
They got a geographical reference because they are on their country where.
Okay, so I actually don't know this answer. So Jamaicans don't call themselves black.
No.
And Africans don't call themselves
black.
No. I'm not. This is just a pure.
I know it's not a blanket. I know not all of them for sure. Like I know it's definitely populations who don't call themselves black and they identify as
the
Jamaican tribe, depending on where they're from, different things.
Well,
Like,
is it like a minority and majority? Because I guess like you could say that same thing inside like America.
No, you can't. When you consider as a tribe, you're black. And you're a tribe. What do you mean?
No. Hold on, wait. So understand what I'm saying. I said that G said the word identify. There are black people in America that don't identify under the moniker as black. Like they use like it's a bunch of different terms that they might use. There's a lot of you can go down like a conservative rabbit hole. There's a lot of.
But they say
you can go down like the black native rabbit hole.
But they say
you can go down like there's a bunch of like different groups of people. That,
you can't.
Go ahead, my bad.
I give some examples. You just saying stuff like you said black Americans don't identify as black, and I'm like, ooh. And you telling me black natives?
Okay, I'll give you like a concrete answer to say. I'll just look it up. Doesn't identify as black. My thing is that there's minorities of all.
There's somebody in our chat that said they identify as American, and like I think there has
right. That's just it's not like that.
As far as talking about American black Holocaust survivor, is that the person you're talking about? Because I saw him, the black Holocaust survivor, say that too. It's like, bro, you don't have to play devil's advocate against your own people all the time, bro. Like, dang.
I'm not, but
you say we travel like they are in Africa. That's not true, bro. They got igloos. They got.
That wasn't the point that I was making it on. Hey, Johnny, sorry, I forget who he was on, but we're kind of like devolving into a tangent. Hey, Black, I think that. Well, yeah, actually, I was asking you that specific question.
People abroad that have been immersed into our culture and that grew up in it as well, they will identify as black or consider themselves black, but also where they're from as well. But it's not the same distinct. Like some Africans or some Jamaicans like don't call them black at all. Like don't call them black. But there is a dual crop that identifies and knows the term black don't mean like I'm from America or whatever, but they understand. They're understanding like the other side of it.
That's like
Africans too.
That's like Busta Rhymes, yo. Busta Rhymes, he's been in America most of his life, but he still says he's Jamaican because his family's from Jamaica.
African mindset, you kind of
so I would say Busta Rhymes is a black Jamaican
identity, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, they like I said, they experience white people in their cultures too. They're not the majority, but they know what it's like to be treated certain way just because of the color of your skin, i.e. black.
And that's like who else?
That don't matter.
Who else can be black but not actually black like 21 Savage is actually he was born in the UK. He's not American. But he came over here young enough and he grew up in the culture, and he identifies as black. I don't think Pop Smoke was born in America. once again, that's if they want to consider themselves black. You know, it's like you can. I mean, you definitely have a national heritage somewhere else other than America, but you've been here and ingrained in the culture, and the culture has actually made you who you are. Then I don't see a problem with saying I am a black XYZ. But you just can't, you know, be 30 years old and come from fucking France and come over here and be like, I'm black. No, you're not. Or you're French. Calm down. You're definitely not black, bro. Or you can be like Obama and apparently grew up in one of the blackest cities and still not be black. You know? Just just these are just my opinions, and this stream is just for entertainment. I'm just stating my ain't nothing factual. Ain't nothing factual at all about anything I'm saying. Not one bit. These are just opinions, man. These are just my opinions.
And I think that's what I was gonna say. Because I mean, I think the term black is subjective in the context that you're using it in. I mean, of course, I'm a believer of the foundational black, the AA movement. I'm a believer in there is something special about the Black American experience, especially that's been here since the times, of slavery. I think also, if we're being realistic, there's a lot of other people based on just skin color who immigrate into this country and they don't get treated like white people. Their experience is a relative experience to what we as foundational Black Americans.
This is true too.
And I think that's why sometimes in the context they use it, they may identify as black because if you have this skin tone, no matter what your nationality is, there's certain places where you're only gonna get treated based on what your skin tone.
This is true.
And I think in that context, even a lot of Africans move over here and naturally have to identify as black. That doesn't mean that they identify with the Black American, experience. They just identify with the like A Black was saying. They identify with the treatment that you get when you come over here.
I had a dark skinned Indian dude tell me that shit one time.
If we talk about why certain people may claim the black,
he's like, shit, trust me, bro, I gotta work just as hard as you, man, because my skin dark as yours. Matter of fact, he was a little bit darker than me.
Kofi.
But he was straight Indian. But he was like, shit, motherfuckers treat me bad too, dog, just because I'm dark skinned. He was like, shit, that even in my own country, man, in India, motherfuckers treat you bad if you dark skinned.
I want to see that the question is genuine, but the question is insane to me. That because it sounds like this narrative is being placed that only Black Americans consider themselves black. It's complete insanity and just a farce, right? All the way back in Africa when linguistically they called each other black. Now where you guys, I think you miss your eyes, you lose the ball, is that they don't have to constantly call each other black. You know why? Because they're in a predominantly black place. So calling each other black doesn't say who they are specifically. Just like if you go to Europe, they're not calling each other, like 600, 700, 800 years ago, they're not just calling each other white.
And okay, I get the point you're making, but that was during a fractured time of civilization where, once again, the lighter skinned people were coming from Southern Europe and being introduced to darker skinned people with dark hair or black hair. And they were called the black-headed people. The black-headed people. And some people say it may have referred to their dark skin, or it may have been their hair that they were referring to. But still, that was at a time where these cultures were just being reintroduced or introduced to each other for the first time. And so that was a very easy moniker, like he says, to just categorize people, you know. But after kingdoms have fallen and nation states have been established, now we identify ourselves by nations. And even in dark-skinned places of the world, the color system is not as relevant because they have nations and nation states.
Chinese people are not just calling each other fucking Chinese in China because they're all fucking Chinese. If they're in China, they're gonna say, okay, what province are you from? Do you speak Mandarin or Cantonese? Then we start getting to the specific people in that group. I'm saying that to say, Africans, there's blackness in Africa, but they'll call each other by their tribe. There's blackness in the Caribbean, right? And it's the same blackness in the Caribbean as would be in America. Why? Because in the Caribbean, the black experience in the Caribbean is similar to the black experience in America. Why? Because the same white people's kicking your ass up over here are the same white people's kicking our ass down over there. They didn't treat us better or any different. So this rudimentary farce of, well, do people consider themselves black is an unproductive conversation. I think the question should be, I mean, you guys end up leading to it, is, well, once they're here, do they understand what American blackness is? I think that's the better point.
No, so and that's what we're talking about, bro. American blackness. Why don't you get that? Because now you, out of all that, oh, there's black here, there's black there, there's black this, and there's black, and then you say American blackness. Yes, there's a difference. No matter all that shit you just said, there's a difference. And that's why you have to call it American blackness. And that's what we're talking about. And nobody else is black like Americans are black.
Question. And
okay, gotcha.
Can I ask Ophi a question real quick?
I was going to go to the people that said that black was more so a cultural thing. I'd love to hear y'all response to that.
But hold on, I want to say one more thing that I'm in it. So this whole thing, also saying, well, immigrants, this is the thing that has been very pervasive since this whole treat the sheet FBA nonsense started. If we look up the word immigrant, it's on my page. If you look at the word immigrant, the definition of immigrant, a person that comes from another place, that moves and goes to another place and establishes permanent residence. The only difference between, if you're not a Native American, you're not an immigrant. The only difference between Black Americans is that their migration was forced, right? Due to the transatlantic slave trade. Your migration was forced. So to say, well, no, I'm not an immigrant in any shape or form, again, is unhistorical, right? Your immigration is different. You cannot say you're not an immigrant. So I just wanted to say that.
Gotcha. But I guess I don't want us to kind of get you. I guess I don't want us to get derailed into like that conversation. So again, fellas, stay focused. Stay focused.
But we gotta but
no, I want let's stay focused to like the actual conversation. There was a piece that directly went towards what you were saying. That dealt with the topic. Let's stay there for a second. So what is your response to the idea that I guess like black is more so a expression, a descriptor across the diaspora, and not just a specific cultural thing. I guess people go ahead. I'll let you answer.
So it's like, for me, there's a big difference between an immigrant and a slave, one, and then when you talk about being black, like to say that it's a farce, like the thing is, I think what's more powerful than seeing a video on the internet or reading something is experience, real life experience, talking to real people. And in my experience, I've talked to Black immigrants from Canada. I've talked to Black immigrants from the Caribbean, and I'm talking firsthand experience. Black immigrants from all parts of Africa. And what I have heard as a common thread between all of them was that nobody referred to themselves as quote unquote Black until they got to America. It wasn't a thing where they were. That's what I've heard from my experience. So
what do Canadian Blacks call themselves?
I don't know what to tell you. They're just Canadian. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, this idea of race, race identity and politics, it's like
they're not.
So I guess
Canada is from a Black person from Canada is either be from America or they're gonna be from the Caribbean or maybe from Africa. So say that kind of makes no sense. Because I have
I guess I'm saying the Black Canadians. They said they didn't like this idea of Black wasn't a thing until they got to America. They didn't really understand it until they got here.
So you saying what do they call Black people in Canada? Or they like completely colorblind?
So you said a person like me, when I came here, I didn't identify myself as Black until I got here. Is that what you're saying?
What I'm telling you is I've talked to actual people, and that's their experience. So to say that it's just a complete farce, I think is a bit of a stretch because it discounts like real life experience that this is what actual people are saying. That's all I'm saying. If it's not your experience, that's one thing, but that doesn't mean that it's a complete farce and it's not a real thing.
Yeah, but it's a blanket statement. And it kind of like, because in my country, they had African studies. My aunts and my uncles, they had African studies. They were told that they were Black. They knew who they were as Black people. Now, I'm not trying to diminish what you're saying, because I'm not saying that what you're saying is not true. But again, just like how Black Americans are not a monolith, so-called Black immigrants in America are also not a monolith. You have the same, you guys have segments of your society that has self-hate. We have people in our society that also have self-hate. So you kind of gotta yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh no, I had to look it up, because my question that I was going to ask G was going to be, because of Blacks are still a minority in that country, well, y'all understand what I'm saying when I use the word Black. What do Canadians call like Black people? Not necessarily like the people from Eritrea or Ethiopia that immigrate there, but Black people. But it looks like maybe they call them Afro-Canadian, which is kind of like similar to African American. Okay, but that was a question. I don't know if you still want to respond to it or not.
Afro-Canadian ain't Black.
It really isn't, bro. That's the whole
That's all I'm saying. And so Kofi's like, he's trying to fall out his chair. So it's like if that is the point where it's like we don't see it the same way, then that's just what it is. But Afro-Canadian is not Black. It's Afro-Canadian.
So what does Afro mean? What does Afro say?
We weren't even called African Americans till the 80s, my nigga. Like this idea.
The white man named you nigga, and you guys go up about that. So whatever the white man told you, that's called wet.
Bro, that's not
you didn't have you had a stuff identification, and that was beat out of our Black asses. So whatever name you're calling yourself is not the name that you had before you got off the ship.
And neither is a Jamaican. Neither is a Jamaican or anybody else.
Exactly.
These niggas calling
right.
So what are you talking about?
I'm not denying that.
So what are you
you're
talking
saying
about?
Blackness is something that sounds like you cultivated all on your own, like the name. No, it's not. Whatever the white man.
It was cultivated in America, is my point. It was cultivated in America.
Who are you to tell us, Kofi? Like, why do you have this video?
Because I know history and I can read. That's why I.
Hey, fellas, really quickly. Hey, fellas. So really quickly,
Black
we're getting
adjacent.
close to like that space where it becomes contentious, and we're not even gonna like listen to each other. We'll have like a full conversation because we're just.
I get what the guy's saying, but he's The Caribbean guy, I don't think he's right. I think the American blacks, and that's the thing. I don't know how long this guy has been in America, or once again, if you've been here and you've grown up here and you've grown from the black experience, you can be a black Caribbean, But he's trying to say no, we're black everywhere, and then they said, well, what do black people call themselves in Canada? Canadian. And he looked it up. Well, they're called Afro-Canadian, just like African Americans. But and then the guy said, well, that's not black. Afro-Canadian isn't black. And then the guy said, well, what is it then? What does Afro stand for? African. It stands for Afro stands for African. You can be Afro-Brazilian, Afro-Mexican, Afro whatever. It's African. That's not black. So he's still conflating two different ideas and two different concepts. Afro with black. And see, so we are American. And they put the moniker Afro-American. Okay. So of African descent in America. Now, the other way to say that is black Americans, right? African Americans are black Americans. And the black experience, the African American experience, is vastly different from any other black experience across the world. It just is. For one, America is a very, very unique place. Very, very unique and very different. And the history of slavery, the history of chattel slavery, actually produced a very, very, very different subset of people. It just did. It just did. And there's no way around that. Chattel slavery produced a certain subset of people, and we are the descendants of those people, and we're very different from everybody else, and we have a very, very different experience than everybody else. We're very unique in that way, and some people don't want to see that. Some people can't see that. Some people refuse to see it, and that's fine and well. But like a few of the guys in this conversation, that's what they're all hitting on. It's like we are very similar in many, many ways, especially when you come over here, and if you have dark skin, you're definitely going to get looked at as if you're one of us. But don't be fooled. Like we are still vastly different. We have a very, very, very different cultural experience, and that's fine. That's fine. You were born in Africa or Spain or wherever, and no, you weren't born with a silver spoon in your mouth. You probably had tremendous hardships, or your family was at or below poverty level for most of your life, and then you come to America and you still get treated like shit because of the colorism factor in this country, and you have no control over that, and that's all. That shit is definitely understandable, but still doesn't make you black. It doesn't mean you're black or you have a very keen understanding of the Black American experience. And I would never assume to understand anyone else's experience. Any other cultural or ethnic experience that I've never lived through. And I never compare, or never try to compare my experiences in a negative way with someone else's experiences. Once again, we all go through shit, man. The fucking global elite trying to crush everybody.
Trying to overtalk each other's points. So G, I guess I'll ask you this question, and we'll probably kind of like go to whoever the next person is. So this is just like inside like some of my like very sophomore like understanding and research. So when they say like Kemet back in the day, and they defined it as like the land of black people, or when like the term like I don't know, almost like the etymology of negro, negra, and it starts all like the idea of describing black. Is that different because it's like it's synthesized through a different language, or does that not necessarily is that not necessarily like the exact same descriptor that black specifically is, and it's just translation?
Yeah, it's way different because it's almost like America is an institution that classified people as X, Y, and Z, and that really defined like how you experience life in America from the start of the country. When you compare calling motherfuckers Moors or Negroes, that was like just a motherfucker calling a nigga a Moor and a Negro. Like it was more like it wasn't an actual thing where you had to stamp a thing, identify as a Moor, claim that you're this or that. It wasn't like it was in America. It wasn't a classification system. This did not exist until America, the experiment of America started. Like that's my whole point. So they're not the same, not only because of the words and the language, but the culture. Like what made someone black or Moorish or whatever in Europe or in the Arab community is not what made you black in America. They're two different things.
Okay. Well, I guess let me let Trey get in, and then yeah.
First off, this vitriol and contempt is what really sparked this FBA movement. Because like behind you have a picture of a person and calling them a black culture vulture. You know, my grandmothers and my grandparents all said that they were Native, and they had said they had Native roots. And a lot of Black Americans have that sentiment. So for you to have a picture there calling us like our grandparents culture vultures, man, that's very disrespectful, bro. And we all know that even in Africa, they have some of them treat each other worse than white people are treating us in the present day. Because in Nigeria, they have civil wars, they have tribal beasts and everything like that. So if they're all black, then what's all this tribal stuff going on? We all have all these wars back and forth. And second, I guess I reject the one drop rule to where, to answer your question more specifically, I think black is a culture. That's why we have FBA/Black American Freedmen/ADOs. That's a lineage. So I guess you can be black in Africa if you put black empowerment first. But I think when we have this blanket blackness, one drop rule BS that we got from the colonizer, who before he came around, we were our nations. We were not just one big global Negro. Before, I think when we adopt that mentality, it puts us vulnerable to have Trojan horses that come among us that don't share our, they don't really care about our people, don't care about our struggle. Because why would they? A lot of us have, our grandparents might have known each other back in the day for all we know. You know what I'm saying? We have cultural ties. So when we have Trojan horses like that, we can have our Jordan Reeds who are leading us astray and like just shilling for Democrats more than putting them first. And then we can open up for Obamas and Candace Owens. And then Kamala Harris's, who they put on this black cloak, and then they come in, and then bam, they don't do our bidding at all. So, blanket blackness will be the death of us, bro. We gotta stick to our lineage, and if you show and prove that you're about black empowerment, I don't care where you are on the globe, you black. But when you start putting all this stuff to the, you know, if you have separate ties, or you don't like this other person because they're from another tribe or something like that, and you really go to war with them, or you siding with white supremacists and all the other stuff, and you come over here and you saying we don't need reparations or anything like that, then nah, we need to treat people the way they treat us. And also that applies to the Negro escorts that bring them amongst us and then vouch for them and put us all in danger. I think they need to get the excommunication as well. Because every revolution starts with weeding out those among us who are saboteurs, because that's the easiest way to destroy a revolution is if you destroy it from within. So sum it up, that's why we gotta get rid of global blackness. Just because you're melanated means that you're family. Nah, all skin folk and kinfolk. We should know that by now.
Gotcha. And before we go back to you, Kofi, Johnny, round us off with your opinion.
I mean,
what is black, and has it evolved over? And that seems like it's a question. Or is it? Oh, you did. All right, my bad. Then shit, we can actually
respond.
Okay, go ahead.
Cause like I agree with what Trey said. Like we like, and I think both these experiences, like there's a certain thing that comes with the black experience that you just can't deny. You can't. And like you say, people could. Trey said the Trojan horses, and we do have to start with ourselves. And Trey, that's why I say we have to be able to criticize black people. If we not going like it can't all be roses.
Not Huey Newton and Michael and Magic and Martin Luther King. Let's start with Joy Reid and Candace Owens, because you defended Candace Owens, but you said you said Huey Newton might be a crackhead. No, bro, that's not what I'm talking about.
Who you voting for? Who Candace Owens voting for? Are y'all voting for the same person?
Yeah, I'm leaning Trump right now. I'm Trump over Kamala.
Damn, Johnny.
But I'm also voting for the same person as Nick Fuentes and the Proud Boys. So I mean, it's all.
Oh, Trey, you can't be saying that with your chest out. Come on, brother. You identifying with the Proud Boys?
You're identifying with the.
All right, listen. I think right now we're getting into a later question. Was going to ask, is voting for Trump off code? But Trey, continue like to the point that you was trying to make.
Oh, just the same. I'm voting along the lines of John brought up Kamala Harris. I mean, you brought up Candace Owens. So
I'm trying to get you to derail away from the tangent that you was at. We're gonna talk about that in a little bit.
Oh, I got you. But the whole all skin folk and kinfolk thing, just because you have black skin doesn't mean you should be able to come amongst Black Americans and be our representative. Because what we have now in the Democratic Party is we have domestic tethers before I offend anybody, but we have foreign tethers who are like the lady who interviewed Trump. She was Ghanaian. Then we have the Haitian lady who's the spokesperson for the White House for the Democrats. And we have your Joy Reid, your Roland Martins, your Candace Owens, your Barack Obama. None of them share our lineage, but they are the voices of Black America. We cannot stand for that. No other group allows you to come amongst them, and then be the voices for them. Even like these Native American tribes, you have to be of the tribe to be a chief. To be in the Sicilian mob, you have to be Sicilian by blood. Like to be Jewish, you have to have ties with your Jewish mother. You know what I'm saying? You have to have a connection to the people you represent. But if we go by this one drop rule and we just let anybody in the globe who we have no connection to, has no connection to us, no loyalty to us, come and serve, and we just get behind them just because of the melanin in their skin, I think that's extremely foolish. And we should have learned that with Obama. And if we're gonna repeat that same thing with Kamala Harris, then I give up, bro.
Hey, one thing I will say, I commend Trey for his creativity with his name flips for Kamala. Like I done heard about 4 of them. He got like I done heard an easy 4 of them. Kofi, I guess.
I'll respond to that first.
All right. Quickly, and then we're going to Kofi.
Because I actually agree with that. Like I do agree there's like value in the Black American experience, and we do have to push for that, and like especially as Black people. But I think with any movement, even if you study how the people in the Middle East got their power, they had allies and they had a global push to get them to that power. And that's how they were able to establish that nation amongst enemies. And it wasn't just them by themselves. It took a whole group of them. And I think liberation was better than the infight. I do think we do have to, focus on our own goals, especially the FBA and the ones that are here. We have to push for that. But we don't need to be focused on fighting and worrying about, because I don't think other Black people have our worst interests at heart way more so than white supremacy system.
Okay.
Naive, John.
And so this will be a question I'll ask y'all to kind of to wrap up the What is Black section. We'll try and keep our commentary. Let's try and keep it under 2 minutes. Obviously, I ain't gonna put the timer up, but I know we can kind of push mean, we got a couple more topics that I think is going to be really important to get through. What is, let's say, black culturally? What do you mean by that? Kofi, we'll start with you.
First of all, before I answer the question, you have to remind me, a lot was been said, and I kind of want to address mostly what been said, and
quick. But I got you.
Why I gotta be quick? They said a lot of things. And
I know. Well, like right now, as we're moving just the conversation forward, this is going to be for everybody. Like I said, this round we're going to try and keep it quick. Yes, acknowledge that. I'll give you like an extra 30, 45 seconds to respond. But then, if you want to use all 2-3 minutes for whatever you want, I can't stop you. But just to keep from not getting to like all the things that we have on the list, and we got 6 people.
Yeah, but it's like 2-on-1, so you know what I'm saying? There's things I wanted to address. That's why I let people go, give people their time interrupted. But whatever, I'll just go because I'm wasting time anyway. So Trey was basically saying that my backdrop is offending his grandmother and all that other stuff. My screen is basically just to say that they are, and you guys had a guest on here the last time I was on here, and Trey and I had a conversation a week ago. No, to the guest that you had, he admitted it's like some cognitive dissonance happening here. He says that his great grandfather was in this country, met a Native American woman, and they had kids that gave rise to them, right? So what I'm saying, you have people that have that narrative. That is a Black American narrative. That is a Native American narrative. But what's being twisted here is that we were always the Native Americans here, and that's total bullshit. That's not historical at all, right? You had Native Americans and you had Black African slaves that came here, right? He's saying, I don't know any of you guys like that or you lean like that, but the difference between me and Trey is that I'm not gonna run away from my blackness to run to say that I'm Native American.
Hey, Kofi, real quick, let me interject. So our next topic is going to be FBA and Pan-Africanism, in which we're going to get into the Black Native thing. We want you to kind of like get like answer the question, because it's going to be more time to expand further on a lot of different things. I understand what you're saying. There's a lot of points. We're going to steamroll through all of these in general in the conversation. Really Black.
All right. Well, again. So we're gonna get to that. So what's the question again? If you want me
we've referred Black culturally to you, especially with like your specific experience, being somebody that did immigrate to America more recently, or I guess when you was younger. Culturally Black, how do you define it? How do you look at that?
And again, I'll just keep repeating myself. Black Americans did not invent blackness. That's extremely egotistical, right? Other people consider themselves Black if they want to, not because that's how we look like phenotypically, right? So the Black experience, and we had this conversation again, I know as a recap, the Black experience in California is not the same Black experience it would be in Georgia. The Black experience in Georgia is not going to be like the Black experience in Rhode Island, right? So what you're doing, you're kind of doing the same thing. There's a Black experience in the diaspora, but you comparing it like you're the standard of Blackness, which is again very egotistical and disrespectful to other Black people, that they consider themselves Black too. There's Black Americans here that don't consider themselves Black. 2007 census. And they say, what do you consider yourself? American, Black, other, colored. I'm like, brother, why is there colored there? We're Black. He said it's someone, I forgot what state it was. They don't consider themselves Black. They fought to be colored on the census.
Oh, bro, can I hop in there?
Got you. I will. So just to make sure I summarize really quickly. So it sounds like you're saying Black is not specifically cultural, but phenotypic and genetic more than anything.
No, what I'm saying, Black, since we all saying the same genetics, as we come from the same place, the only difference is where we are geographically. So where we are geographically, our black experience is still different. You know what I'm saying? But we're still black. My black experience.
No, I got you. So was that a fair like summary of it phenotypically and genetically, but not specifically culturally? Because you're black. It sounds like you're saying you're black no matter where you are, but like your cultural experiences might be different depending on specifically where you're at. Johnny.
But I think that's the exact point I said where context matters. Like, of course, phenotypically, we all share a common thing because of the color of our skin. When we're saying black here, Kofi, in America, you're a discount the black experience when we say we are black. And you acting like there's not a unique, you act like this is not the greatest country in the world, and it was built on the back of black people specifically in this country. And that goes to what, like Trey talks about all the time, is like you're discounting that when it comes to black in America. And like, so maybe we should be very, very specific every time we say black, that we mean black in America, foundational black American. But when we say black, you have to understand that's what we're talking about. And
hey Johnny,
where was I disregarding that? I don't see where.
I think he just has a difference of opinion of what black culturally is. But Johnny, you didn't answer the question at all.
And to mean black Americans.
I didn't say, but just to say that we're not black. Just to say that we're not black or we're all black.
No, I didn't say you're not black. I said everybody is black, but the only difference is that your black experience, America, is going to be different from my black experience here. To keep it more local, you wouldn't say the black person experience in Rhode Island is different from the one in Mississippi, but you're not going to say they're not black. I'm using that analogy. So same thing, just more internationally. I can't say you're not.
That doesn't make sense, bro. Because that's still in a fucking America. You're still black in America. You're talking about Rhode Island and Mississippi. Yeah, it's a southern and northern state, but it's still in America. It's still an American experience.
Because you're in America. And I'm in Jamaica, so I'm more black than you. That's just an asinine conversation. My experience is just different as a black person. That's just it.
That's fair to say, but I think what Trey talks about, there's the value in what we got right here.
For sure, and that's the FBA movement. All right, so you're not going to answer the question.
Repeat the question. I was just listening to Kofi.
Like what do you define black culturally as? Now, when we say these words like black is culturally specifically like a thing, or black, like American black culturally, like what do you define that as?
Oh, to me, I define it as black American, like the FBA experience. That's my definition of it.
Okay.
Yeah, I like.
And so all right, so and your idea is that being black is only an American thing as well, correct?
In the context of what I'm saying, yes. Like I think it's a contextual thing.
Okay.
When I say it, yes, but I can't say if you're in Africa, you're not black. I can't,
Do you use terms like black people all across the world or all across the globe?
I may have in the past, but I kind of think about it differently now, for sure.
Okay. G, let's go to you. What do you? What is the question? Culturally black. How do you define that?
Yeah, like I was saying earlier, man, I think black, when we say the word black, it's just like, two people can say that something is dope, and it mean two completely different things. Something is fly, but it don't mean it's nothing in the sky. So words have different meanings. The way Kofi's using the word has one definition, and the way that some of us are using the word has a different definition, ultimately. And so the black experience is based off of what happened in America, because there was who in Africa was screaming black power before it was mentioned here in America? It's right. Like there are things culturally speaking, like black Americans don't claim jerk chicken or plantains. Like these aren't black cultural things. Like these are attributed to that region of like Caribbean culture or whatever. Like black culture isn't jollof rice. That's a West African culture thing, right? So like this idea that like we just share all this culture is not true, because these things don't translate in America. Like this isn't something that we embrace here. And so I think
I guess like to answer one of your questions, or I guess I love to hear you respond to what I imagine like the rebuttal to one of your questions would be. I think Kofi, he made the statement that Black people in Africa don't necessarily have to refer to themselves as Black because of they're the dominant society. So it's not specifically a marker that you would need to use in comparison to America, where it's minority. It's a marker that is like stated in general. So in Africa, that wouldn't be something that they would say because of it's no specific reason to say it.
But
So
that's
then
my point.
identity markers, but I guess the idea would be, does that make them not Black because of they don't have to say it all the time?
Look, like I said,
Don't say it at all.
we could say fly, and we're not necessarily talking about something in the sky. Like the same word can mean different things. And I think the way we as Black Americans define what Black means is different than what people outside of America tend to, based off of what Kofi's saying. But like from my experience, like I said, I've talked to Africans, Jamaican descendants in the UK, like being in England, talking to a Jamaican girl about like, you don't identify as Black. And she was like, nah, like it wasn't a thing. She didn't understand it. She didn't like lean into that. And so what I'm saying is like this idea that Black, like when you descend from what I descend from, you are Black. It ain't no question of if you're not calling yourself American, you are identifying as Black, and the other might say African American as synonymous with Black, but culturally speaking, it's about what happens here. And just one last thing, like has different experiences, but the reality of Blackness in America is that there was a great migration from one part of the country where there are reasons why Black people are in Chicago, Detroit, Los Angeles, anything out in the West. They migrated there from the South, okay? And so the majority of those Black folks, culturally speaking, I guarantee you every nigga in America got one family member in North Carolina. It's like guaranteed. Every nigga in America got family down South. It's just, it is what it is. And so when you say that it's a different cultural experience, degree because you grow up in a different part of the country, but your home base is very much rooted in what was experienced in the Black American Southeast part of the country that spread through the United States. Like this is where it all is rooted, from the Black Southeast.
Hey Black, talk to us.
Yeah, I was agreeing with most. G was saying that like both sides can be right. He was saying that there was no Black power movements before it started here in the U.S. But I would push back on that and saying that most of the leaders, whether it's Stokely Carmichael, Huey P. Newton, the Black Panthers, civil rights leaders, Martin Luther King, they all were studying the African revolutions that were going on against colonialism way back since the 40s, you know. So the nonviolent movement that was started in South Africa, 49, MLK being inspired by Gandhi. So we have our own things, our own cultures that came from us all being together. But I think at the same time we can still embrace that we learn from everybody. You know, we learn from the Haitian Revolution, we learn from the Black Power movement in America, we learn from revolutions in Africa against their colonizers so they can get their independence. So it's like I think we gotta like have vision of like, well, this is us, and like that's what makes us dope. Is like, yeah, a Black person can call themselves Caribbean. Maybe a Caribbean person might call themselves Black, and it's because of the cultural norms. But then somebody can move here, they can be 2 generations off, and they can definitely be Black American, but their grandma might be Jamaican or something like that. So you have to kind of like embrace, I feel like, everything, because nobody started nothing. You know, it all was derived from different things, but becoming a culture, what makes culture is the arts, the music, the language, the ways of talk is only because of proximity and being close to each other. But we're all influenced by each other in different ways. But, you know, like the biggest influence comes from Africa. Not even the FBA and their leaders and their morals. A lot of that stuff came from them studying African revolutionaries as well. So say that we take it, hip hop, we put our own remix as black people due to our experience. Versus them too. Like, yeah, we've been doing this as well, but this is a new way of doing it, like the Black Americans are doing it. So let's take on this these terms and whatnot. Everybody's been doing the same thing. Black people been fighting for freedom everywhere, you know, and trying to get equal humanity everywhere. I think we know what we talk about when we say, "Oh, you Caribbean," you know, you like black. Are you African? Or you might be Afro Canadian if you want to like, oh, you from you British, you talking about in it and different things. But today we all black. You know, that's why we say we root for everybody black. When it comes down to it, the skin color. You know, we can break down our differences. I was asking Trey because he was talking about the natives, if he's done his ancestry, actually seen a native percentage, because it's very low percentage. I know a lot of older black people would say they have native in them or they're Indian in them because it was a way to push yourself away from rape being in your line or having forced sex being on your line. So I talked to my great uncle about this. Why so many black people think they got Indian in them? It's like, no, most majority are mixed with white, mixed with Irish, mixed with Scottish in the South. But you don't want to say that. So you say, I got some Cherokee because some did, but it's a very, very small percentage, you know.
Gotcha. So hold on, real quick. John, let me set the room really quickly. One, chats is no way that I'm about to be able to click everything. I'm gonna start with the last 20. If you want to make sure that your chat is seen and read on the show, again, you got 3 options to drop a super chat, or cash out one of the fellas, and we'll make sure that your comment is read. But from that, we're going to kind of move the conversation forward. And with that, we'll just start with the bottom row. We'll go Johnny, Kofi, then Trey in the conversation. But use the time as you feel. But we're going to go with FBA versus Pan-Africanism revisited. This has been, we're pretty much there already. This has been pretty much our hottest topic of the season, where we went from the Black Native conversation, we went to what is Black, which you just kind of jumped off of. We went through, you know, like a bevy of different versions of this conversation. So what I'd like to know is, how has your opinion changed? And what is your current status when it comes down to your opinion on this whole FBA versus Pan-African conversation, and what it has sparked so far?
Let me go first. I just want to first say, when we talking about black and what we as Black Americans saying, I think we gotta understand we're having this conversation in America. So there's a reason that the conversation is being had on this turf because of the things that we've done. When my mindset has changed over the course of the season. Middle ground Johnny, I was listening to it, but I think the FBA experience, especially even tonight, I think it's a great representation of how it kind of gets dismissed. And, a lot of us, there's no focus on our specific experience in this country. Now, how we go about it, I think there's a couple different ways we can agree and disagree on different things. I think the Black American experience is something that has not been properly, reparations haven't been there. We haven't been, we haven't got a recuperation for what's happened to us. And before we do anything else, I think that's perfect.
Gotcha. And do you think that the division of FBA and the diaspora has been healthy? Has it been detrimental? What's your thoughts?
I mean, I don't think it's been healthy at all. I don't know how much. I don't want to say it's been detrimental because I think that side has not been given the power that the system has been given. So I think if we, I think the system is what we need to focus on first. So I mean, I'd say net neutral. I think we just gotta be very, intentional about FBA moving forward.
Gotcha. So Kofi, throwing it to you. And again, you use the time as you feel free. But FBA versus Pan Africanism. Just us revisiting it from the conversation that you've heard. You've hopped in on a lot of them. Where do you currently stand, and has it changed over the course of these conversations?
No, my
of course, like the last part would be, do you think that it has been overall healthy or detrimental?
Well, I'll answer everything in reverse. I think I kind of agree with Johnny. I don't think it exposes how people feel. It exposes something that I think Black people in the diaspora, for the most part, trying to find a place in this world, trying to find an identity. So I think it's positive because it gets people thinking. It should get people researching, right? How do I feel about it personally? My position hasn't changed because basically it's me reciting history versus people's feelings. No one's reciting professors. No one's reciting geneticists. No one's reciting anything to uphold their position on the opposite side, except for how they feel and what they think and all that other stuff. There's plenty of Black African American great grandmaster teachers that would be rolling and doing somersaults in their grave if they hear some of this make-believe FBA thing that just was invented. Also, I'd like to say we're not supposed to be using ad hominems, but
let's just try.
No, hold on. I'm gonna do some clubhouse cleaning because something was said and it wasn't pushed back on, right? Tether was being thrown around, and that's an ad hominem attack. We already established that. But again, we're still
again, to be clear, like to clarify,
he was calling us Tethers.
Yeah, he said domestic and which one? I don't even think that it was like anything directed to a specific person.
All right, so
I just want to make sure let's try and keep the conversation as healthy as possible to where.
Okay, so you'll have no problem with me calling Black Americans porch monkeys then. So and other derogatory.
Well, why would you want to call another Black person a porch monkey? Unity, John. Unity, right? This is like the equivalent. No, this is the equivalent of white people saying, "Why can't I say nigga?" This is like white people saying, "Like, why can't I say the N word?" You want to call us porch monkeys, huh?
Exactly. You want to say something derogatory towards me.
No.
You, then you got a problem.
I want to know why you want to call other Black people porch monkeys.
Be really respectful. If you say I don't respect you, then I could deal with you on some real shit. But don't be when I had a problem with that. You hear a mouse piss on cotton. You didn't say shit. The moment I say something that is this.
All right, so and fellas, I'm now going to kind of like hop in really quickly and like on both sides of it. So now we've gotten to the unhealthy spot of the conversation that unfortunately tends to happen.
I gotta take it on the chin. I didn't say nothing when he said.
I don't think that. So
and that's a problem.
I got you. I think my main piece inside this conversation is that let's actually. So right now we're going to withstand from even the debate part of this. Let's start individually answer it because of. I don't want this to just devolve into a shouting match.
This nigga wants to call us porch monkeys.
Listen, again, fellas, it's going to be impossible for us to have any version of a decent conversation. All right, how about this? If y'all just want to kind of like go into this ad hominem like wild shit, I'm gonna actually take a step back because of again, it's a season finale, and is this what we want? If not, let's actually have like an intelligent version of the conversation.
Dude, please let me ask one question, bro. Let me ask you. I want to.
Every time
so here goes.
People go 3 minutes uninterrupted.
I want to ask one question.
They got no discipline, yo.
I want to know one question.
Shit. I let everybody talk. The moment I get to talk, again, cut off. There's a sidebar and all this bullshit.
You start calling niggas porch monkeys. I want to ask one question. I want to ask one question.
It's still my time, though.
It's not your time, my nigga.
Yes, it is still my time.
This nigga your show, my nigga. Like, this ain't your time. Like, I got a question. Like, you want to
So
participate?
have me kick rocks then.
So do you want to participate or you just want to call niggas porch monkeys?
Nah, I'm a fucking man just like you. If you're not gonna talk.
All right, so again, like now it gets to the point, like it's almost impossible for us to have any version of a conversation as a group.
You don't even want to have a conversation. You want to say it's
I want
time.
my
There's
time
no
to
back and
answer
forth.
your question. I just want to get.
No, I get again. My issue is that we've gotten into the point of where it's just fire. So I wish A Black was here, so I throw to him. FBA, if you can just answer the question, we'll just stay with the question right now because we can't like avoid arguing with each other. Like right now, it almost feels like I'm inside like grade school, some shit like that. But like
I don't think anybody went out of their way to offend anybody until this nigga called niggas pork.
again, I'm not going to speak. I'm not going to speak to anybody's experience, and this is all. I'll give credence to this. I think that we don't look at tether as the derogatory term it is. So, like, I know I might not even pick up some of the time I'm going to say it. And if somebody feels offended, same way we can't tell somebody else how to feel offended. I'm not even going to like step into the lane of like even like trying to justify either way over. But my thing is that I would prefer us to have a better conversation and let's talk to the points. So like again, if y'all want to just like get into what that just was, which started becoming like really childish and y'all yelling at the same time, I think that that's the worst version of the conversation that we could possibly have.
You just said no ad hominem attacks, and I said, well, I'm
And-
pointing out that.
and I tried to stop it before it happened.
That's what I was saying.
No, I get it, but I think that, like I said, right now it's probably best. A Black, fresh on the scene. Talk to us, brother. Like, how is your perspective? We gonna come back, but like Kofi, to be honest, you were just yelling like back and forth with G and like asking to be kicked off instead of like actually have like y'all aren't having a productive conversation.
I never cut his time. I don't cut nobody's time. When I was supposed to go, Johnny's supposed to go. I said, Johnny, you go. I'm trying to be cordial. I'm trying to be respectful.
Calling niggas porch monkeys.
Bro.
That don't even make no sense, bro. You can't gaslight a nigga, bro. You can't piss on my leg and tell me that it's raining. You trying to be cordial, calling a group of black men. What about if I call y'all? Like, why do you even feel comfortable calling other niggas
Why
porch
do you
monkeys?
feel comfortable saying something that disrespect me? You're being fucking selfish.
Dude,
I just said that.
Nobody threw a shot at you.
You don't have to agree with the word tether. You know what? You can feel personally that word is not offensive, but that is used in a derogatory manner.
That's the Caribbean word.
If you had respect for me and say, you know what? That's bullshit, but to keep things going, let me respect Kofi. That's not your fucking position. The moment I said something that offended you, then you want to get all in your fucking feelings. That's why, and that's how I know you're being disingenuous. That's all that I'm saying. Treat people like how you want to be treated. It's very fucking simple. But if you don't respect me, then you can't get it. That's all that I'm saying. And we had this conversation before. We had this conversation. But it's not.
And you weren't calling niggas porch monkeys. This is all my point.
Because y'all couldn't get it. So once I say that, then
you not helping nobody get nothing by calling niggas porch monkeys. Like that's what I'm saying. You don't care. You don't really care about like understanding. No, your mission is not accomplished.
Yes, it is because you didn't care when I was offended. You only care when you're offended.
So tether is the N word for non-black. Like help me break this down. Like compare tether to porch monkey. This shit didn't even exist until 2020. What two? Like you're talking about.
Tariq made it up. Well, kind of made it up in the derogatory.
And you want to adopt language that your colonizers call black people in terms of porch. You want to maintain that rhetoric. That's what you would prefer to do, correct?
Brother, what you see, me and you are different.
Clearly.
Yes. You refer to your fellow black man as nigga this, nigga that. I don't do that.
You call us porch monkeys, right?
Because a nigga, a porch monkey, a jigaboo, all the other stuff is synonymous. That's what white people call us, the dehumanizers. But one of the things that
I love the N word, my nigga. Period.
Okay. That's fine.
We're very different.
Being kind of hypocritical.
Nah.
That's
the
same
word.
You got a very
white mindset. You got a very white mindset.
When he was whipping your ass.
You got a very white mindset.
But you want to flip it into something positive.
You got a very white mindset.
That's post-traumatic slave syndrome is what you're displaying right there.
Thank you.
I don't call none of y'all niggas. Unless I don't do that. Unless I'm saying in a hostile manner. If you want to use it as a positive, as something positive, that's fine. But you cannot sit here saying I'm mad at something that the white man made to dehumanize us, and at the same time calling each other niggas. And you have no problem calling people niggas. You sound sick. You mentally sound sick. In my opinion,
would you prefer foreign coon instead of tether? Because that's what it means.
Would you mind domestic?
I don't know. I'm with the other dude on that one. I enjoy the word nigga. I like it a lot. And I think N-I-G-G, I'd rather be your N-I-G-G-A so I can get drunk and smoke weed all day. Baby, you need a thug in your life. The busters ain't love and you're right. I'd rather be your N-I-G-G-A so I can get... Hey man, it's different than... It's a different word, different meaning, different connotation. And I say this, and I enjoy the N-word because it only gives a great example of the resilience and the creativity of the Black culture. Whereas we are the only culture that has been oppressed and suppressed by a white supremacy system who has been able to take a derogatory term and flip it into something that may be used as a positive term on our own terms. The white man has a derogatory term for everybody. He calls everybody names, and some of them are very hurtful. And nobody likes the derogatory names that they call us. Nobody likes it. But somehow the Black people are the only ones who took that negative name and we gained ownership of it. We changed the spelling. We changed the enunciation. We've changed the synapse in meaning. And we made it cool and fun. And that took a lot of creativity, believe it or not. And we're the only ones who have been able to do that. Isn't that fucking amazing? I think that's fucking amazing. I really do. That's no bullshit, yo. I think the nigga is a fucking crazy word, and I wish I knew like the group of people who sat there and said N-I-G-G-A instead of E-R. Well, what does that mean? It means you're my comrade, my nigga. It's like, wow, you're a fucking genius, bro. Let's not let them weaponize this word against us, but let's use this word in our own context. And it works so well, and now everybody wants to say it. Everybody wants to say nigga. It's crazy. I gotta take a bathroom break.
Nigga, like,
you a walking contradiction. You a walking contradiction. You just like to argue with niggas.
Yeah, I don't rock with white. That's why maybe I need to be arguing with Black people instead of niggas. You're right.
That's crazy. Hey, what generation are you, just out of curiosity?
I'm sorry?
Like Jamaican are you?
Oh, I'm from Caribbean.
Excuse me.
I'm from Japan.
What generation Caribbean are you?
I don't understand what you mean by generation. You mean
what,
by
like,
age?
were you born here, or your parents born here? Or
No, I was
born here.
I was born in Guyana, and I came in when I was 4.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
Because I was kind of curious, because there's a lot of things that are culturally Black American. It seems like you might not be familiar with. So I was thinking maybe it's because you weren't born here. But I say nigga. My dad say nigga. My granddad probably said nigga. My son gonna say nigga too.
I grew up.
So I mean, you can't.
That sounds wild. And I'll be honest, my father's completely FBA, and we ain't say nigga in the house. To be honest,
but a lot of his friends did.
That's fine, but like,
and we got shown videos of Black people hanging. That's for sure what happened.
I saw those same videos.
Black people in the 40s and 30s, they never called each other.
That's not true. That's not even true. Like, that's not even true.
That's what
I'm saying. That's not even true. You just don't. You don't even understand. You're saying things that's just not even true.
I know,
Alright, so,
I know Black Americans that they don't talk to each other. They don't.
Hey fellas, so I allowed y'all to devolve for about a good 5 to 6 minutes just now. That's what y'all wanted. Y'all had at it. I hope hey, that was what it was. Hey Black, talk to us. FBA versus Pan African Revisited. How has your opinion evolved over these conversations?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I think I gained more of an understanding on the positive side of the FBA movement. Stands for a lot of stuff I agree with. Like I say, I just don't think it's a thing that have to be separate. I think you can Black American and know what you build and know what you do from America specifically. And I think you can be Pan-Africanist as well and know that, you know, there's power in numbers, there's power in geographical location, there's power in this multiplying mindset. Because although there are a lot of people from other places not ever been here, you'd be surprised like how many people have the same mindset, are the same wants and needs of freedom, liberation, of living life, of having fun and stuff. A lot of similarities exist across the borders. So I don't think they have to opt. I think they should, you know, you can walk and chew gum at the same time. Like you can be FBA and you can be Pan-African at the same time. I don't think that could be like anti-African to support Black Americans or anti-Black Americans. You know, if you're African or Caribbean or Brazilian or whatever, I think it's bad. It goes on both sides in every movement. I think everybody kind of wants the same thing everywhere, which is, you know, freedom and, you know, the ability to recognize as a human. And a Black man, you know, Black man, we know what a Black man is. Like, beyond our own succinct culture, a Black man is like this in the world well. And we all want the same thing. Coming together, man, finding the best parts of both movements, being able to support each other, and I don't think they have to be separate things. You know, I think you can like tenants from both.
Appreciate it. And do you think that shout out to A Black being the middle ground? Do you think that it has been healthy, a neutral or detrimental? Just this conversation, I guess it's been labeled the diaspora wars.
Yeah, I think, like I said, for me, I can only speak as far as the productivity of the conversation. For me, it's been enlightenment. You know, hearing other thoughts. Iron sharpens iron. Whether we agree or disagree, I think you need to be in a constant state of expression, of articulating your thoughts, have a reason for what you say. So that's why I say I can respect and appreciate what other people are coming from, where I don't 100% disagree with anything, but at the same time, like my mind hasn't been changed about the importance of Africa, the importance of Brazil, the importance of Afro-Mexicans, the importance of the Caribbean, and like how we all are connected in very different ways. But at the same time, you know, I also want my family built here and suffered here and enslaved here. It's like they want over there, wherever they're from as well.
Gotcha. Trey.
Man, I hate that term diaspora war, because how's it a diaspora war if we could care less about what's going on in their homeland? We just care about what's going on in ours. It's more like a diaspora invasion with hostility. Because like if we come over here, let's say they were hiding the truth, we do have native roots. And then we have people coming in from the diaspora talking about we're culture vultures, we're trying to discover our own history. And then they cloak themselves in blackness, so we bring them in as our friends. And you know, that I think that's very dangerous. And I thought that when I first realized a lot of this history and I found out that a lot of the stuff that we told was lies, I think my opinion has kind of changed with a lot of these conversations. Because when I learned a lot of this information I thought I would share, I didn't think that I would get so much resistance when I'm trying to get people to reconsider the Eurocentric narrative we've been taught. Like, and that makes me think even deeper. Like when we're trying to get out of captivity, we were probably met with the same type of resistance. Those people that are trying to wake up. That's why all these slave revolutions were brought down from within, because we have people who would rather side with outsiders. They want to greet people who despise us and talk bad of us, call us racial slurs with open arms and put them under the cloak of blacks. When you witness this in your face, you still want to defend it. So it's kind of made me just want to like give up. I think there's enough people who have the mentality to like they get it. But I think when you have conversations, I had a conversation with a homie who I was trying to talk about Kamala's not black, and they wanted to ask me if Kaepernick was black. You know what I mean? So, and I had homies defend Candace Owens. You know.
Okay, can we go to like a quick sidebar? But technically, according to what y'all defined as black today, he can't be black, right?
Kaepernick, he's a black lineage, and he's still a.
No, he's not. He has Caribbean people. Parent, like his dad's Caribbean, and his other parent is white.
So the Dr. Sophie Carmichael.
But y'all just said that black was like a very specific like American lineage, or my bad. No, it's not, right? It's just as long as you grew up in America, and you got some like anything from Africa in you.
I said FBA is a lineage, like ADLs.
No, we just had a black. What is black conversation? Where the majority of everybody said that it was outside of Kofi, I think, that maybe a black kind of was like a little inside the middle, but like Johnny G and you said that it is. Oh, so you don't say that it's primarily.
I specifically said that ADOS, Black American Freedmen, and FBA, that is a lineage. So is Kaepernick a part of that lineage? No. But black is a culture. I also said that anybody on the globe, if you're about black empowerment, then we welcome you with open arms. But you don't get a pass in that just because you have melanated skin.
What did you say that black culture was, though? Did you answer that question?
Black culture is when you're black first and you're about black empowerment first. That's black.
Oh, you're actually right. You did say that you could be black in Africa if you put black first. You're correct.
Right.
I proved you incorrect.
I'm calling people porch monkeys, and you'll go around calling people any racial slurs, anything like that. Then, like, because black, we can't be united.
Stay focused.
I mean, we can't be united as black people because I think if me calling somebody a house Negro or a coon based on what they do that's anti-black, that's not me making a derogatory slur just because of the color of their skin. But I think people misunderstand that word that means to attach to a culture and try to undermine it. Because in its definition, you are undermining us. So it's just basically me calling you a coon. So it's like if you get mad at me calling another black American a coon and feel insulted. Why would you feel insulted if I'm talking about a coon? No, but we don't defend coons. But unfortunately, a lot of people from the diaspora, if you call them a domestic coon, they're like, who are you calling a coon? Bruh, stop cooning.
I think that anybody that you call a coon typically would just say that exact thing. Who are you calling a coon?
But
and I guess you
so I'm saying, it's like a stupid person get mad at you for saying they're stupid, but they still gonna get mad.
No, you misunderstand it. If I call you a coon, you're not gonna be mad because you're of the same lineage. Because if you're not being a coon, I'm not talking about you. But with foreigners, if you call somebody, I'm not gonna say it again because I don't want, you know what I'm saying? Apparently I don't want to trigger nobody. But if I call them that for being a foreign coon, people of his lineage will defend him for cooning.
I got you, but I guess what I'm saying is that typically, like, I don't know any group of black people that accept being called a coon.
But you misunderstood the whole point.
Okay, my bad.
In the person, if I call John a coon, are you gonna get mad at me calling John a coon if he does something very coon? Okay. All right.
So G, I'm gonna answer your question. I'll answer your question. I understand your question. So for me specifically,
you mean Trey, right?
Trey, yeah, Trey. My bad. If you're asking me specifically, I avoid calling black people coons because I don't think black people are mindless. And I think that like you have to be doing like something very intentional and egregious. And I think the coon bar is so low that we use it and we almost throw it out like it's a frisbee. We just be throwing that bitch out. You know what I mean? But
Stephen A. is not a coon.
Do I think that Stephen A.
What's his name? What's his name? Candace Owens. What's the news commentator? The fat dude that they always clown.
You probably talking about Jason Whitlock.
Yeah, Jason Whitlock. They don't say coonish stuff. That the Officer Tatum, he don't say nothing. But these people that specifically say things that undermine black people and talk bad about black people all day, you want to defend them.
I don't defend Jason Whitlock or Officer Tatum.
But if I call him a coon, that's the equivalent of me calling a person that behaves that way a tether, and then somebody from that group getting mad at me.
Listen, I understand why you would call them a coon because you disagree with like whatever statement they're saying.
No, it's not because I disagree with them, bro. It's because they say something bad about their own people. It's basically calling them a sellout. It's not a disagree with them.
I understand. I also think that the terms like every Democrat that I know that doesn't like Republicans calls black Republicans sellouts. I don't personally think that all black Republicans are sellouts. Like the word sellout is used very loosely. That's my only point.
But sometimes it is accurate though, right?
Yeah, there are people that coon. My only point is that I don't necessarily
sellouts too.
Right. I specifically don't use the word like I try and stay away from unless I know it's like intentionally egregious and I believe it specifically. And that's where like it's your own liberty to use it. But if you're asking me the question, I stay away from like the coon and things like that for specifically if it's something I disagree with and I don't know their exact intent. Because it might be somebody that thinks differently than me. If I think that you have like ill intent where whoever we want to say like has ill intent, let's say Jason Whitlock. Like we feel that he like if I feel that he is intentionally doing this shit to like, rile up the white base and get supporters from white Fox News and not Fox Sports, and that's lining his pockets, and he's saying talking points, then yes, that's coonish behavior. But I don't rattle off as much as like most people the word coon or sellout because it's just usually like a thing to make sure that black people are a monolith.
I got you. That's why I've kind of changed my stance on a lot of things because I didn't realize how like we allow people to say whatever about. I think that's why we're so disrespected. Is because we don't demand respect. Somebody can say whatever about us, and then we're gonna get mad at somebody for calling them out, and then call it what they call it. We don't want to have monolithic thought, even though that they're saying stuff. Somebody can get out there and say we don't need reparations. You'd be like, well, we can have open thought. We're not a monolith, so it's like if we can't get
So you do believe that black people should have like a very specific monolithic thought?
Bro, if you're black and you're anti-reparations and you're speaking against that, then bro, you should be ostracized.
Cool. So now let's move past reparations. Black people should have monolithic thought.
Bro, yeah, if you want to talk about this from police brutality, I saw another show where somebody mentioned something about the sister that got shot recently by the police officer, Tanya Massey. And they were talking about, oh, she might have been throwing the water on him. It was like, as a black person saying that.
You said on our show?
I think somebody said that towards the end. And I was like, bro, okay, I think it was, I don't want to say his name because he ain't here to defend himself. But you know what I'm saying? But we'll see on the show that's coming up Sunday. But
you pulling up?
Yeah, I'm gonna try to pull up. Yeah, I'm most likely gonna pull up.
Hey, already.
But I'm saying, but when people say stuff like that, bro, and then other people sit by and defend it, or when people talk about Huey Newton might have been a crackhead, or they push COINTELPRO propaganda about Martin Luther King, they recite that and believe it. It makes you kind of just give up on probably about 2/3 of black people because we don't even have the faculties to defend ourselves. No other group allows you to come among them and disrespect them. And then other people, like Indians, don't let you talk bad about the Indian collective, and then they come and defend you. And they'll talk about, no, we can't have freedom of thought. Like, no other group allows you to talk bad about, like, even look at the feminist movement. Like, the white women, they don't say white men are so bad. They say men are bad. But then in our movement, a lot of our sisters talk about black men. Everyone talks about fatherlessness as a group, but black people are the only one that push things out and talk bad about themselves. And when other people say things about them that aren't true, they just say freedom of thought. You know what I mean? So
I got you. I think that I could probably run down every example you gave and then give like the opposing version
Exactly.
of it.
Right.
Oh no, for sure. I think that there's
no, my bad.
Oh no, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the fact that there's infighting in the LGBTQ community. There's literally like they have like words for like very specific versions of like gay women that don't believe in like let's say trans rights or something like that. Infighting happens inside almost every group. Same way if you want to talk about feminists and white women and their disdain for white patriarchy. That is like if you go on any college campus, especially at PWI, that they specify the word white.
I've never heard that before.
I guess okay.
It's like I've never heard of black people don't call themselves black; they call themselves by their tribe, like you said earlier. I never heard of these examples though.
I said that they. Well, I didn't say that they call themselves by the tribe.
You said
yeah. No, I got you. Again, I understand it. Like you know that your thing is.
Why can't we defend? We can't defend each other at all, bro.
I believe we should defend black people for sure. I believe that. Who has not answered? G, talk to us. FBA versus Pan-Africanism revisited. Has your opinion evolved enough?
Yo, I gotta say, before we started doing this, I never even heard the word tether. Even heard of it before we started doing this show. So it's like the fact that it's such a airy term is news to me. I had never even heard this word used outside of this context of doing these shows. And then what was interesting to me was that like it took a couple episodes where like I had to ask y'all like, yo, what the fuck is a tether? It derives from one of them Jordan Peele movies. I'm like,
Us.
Oh, okay. Like I went back and watched Us because of this show. Cause I'm like, what the fuck do niggas mean by tether? And then all of a sudden, I start seeing tethers. I'm like, damn. Like, why is it that?
Oh, here we go.
No, because like, I'm just saying, like I start hearing how people define it, and then I start seeing people who are from the definition of what I hear, like literally being characters, like of what this word means. And so now I'm like, okay, I had never even known that this was a term, but now I'm seeing this hostility towards the ADOS FBA community for wanting to delineate and this vitriol is like, why are they so angry? Like, I really gotta understand.
So I guess if I was to give you like I guess as best good faith perspective as I could.
Of course.
Right.
You made it all worth it, bro. Thank you. That really hit, bro.
It's crazy how G and FBA on the same team today.
Oh yeah. No, they turned.
Nah, this nigga Trey was on some other shit early. He tried to get me out of pay earlier, but we can move on from that. We can move on from that.
We ended up on the same team, though.
Let me see if I can remember my actual pushback. Well, I guess if I'm to play devil's advocate, and let's just say the term like and you're using the term tether, right?
That's the term we talking about at the crux of it. Like,
Right. And you're saying that I'm seeing this group of people act inside this specific way. So fuck it. I feel like it even makes more sense to call them that. Almost mirrors language that I've heard other groups say about like using the N-word. When like inside like out of context ways.
I just feel I wildly disagree. Like
okay.
I said,
like you don't think that poor like I'm just giving like a great
suffered being called a tether. Like what nigga got restricted?
I think you completely understood what I was saying. I think that poor whites inside like fucking back road North Carolina and like their justification for using the word nigga ends up being, you know, I seen some niggas over there at whatever acting a very specific way, and it justified me saying this derogatory term.
I would disagree because white folks were calling niggas regardless of how they acted. You could be a high class nigga, an upstanding family man type of nigga, and a white man would try to like knock you down based off of how you look. So that's
No, I get that. I'm talking about modern day justification for saying the word nigga.
Modern day justification, I don't agree with. Their modern day justification is the fact where you use it in your songs, you say it to each other, and even
I've seen some of them acting ignorant, like that whole thing. They do that, like that is a justification for using a derogatory term.
Even comparing the two words, just in terms of historical context, is no comparison. Like,
well, I wasn't trying to use it inside like a historical context, more so the idea of justifying derogatory terminology based off of like, I guess the actions of like a.
So let me make a difference.
Okay.
If you are not black and you call someone a nigger and kill them, you can be charged with a hate crime. You understand, like the context in which that word carries? It's like for a hate crime to be established, there has to be certain precedents set. I don't know the precedent for tether. Is what I'm saying here.
Oh yeah, no, I think that you're talking about. I guess you're taking it further than what I'm saying. I'm just speaking inside the idea of like derogatory terminology, but
like jokes and the N-word, I think is versus like, you know, it's like there's like everybody's.
Oh my bad. Maybe if I use like the word coon or like something like a different version.
That's what I'm saying.
I didn't want to necessarily get caught up in semantics, more so like describing the concept.
I see it like how Trey said. It's like another version of a coon, but it speaks to coons who aren't from America, and it's like if we can call Black Americans coons and nobody starts tripping about how derogatory it is, then why can't black people call these other folks tethers without it being really received the same way? Like, you
black people don't trip out about being called.
No, let me tell you what they don't do. They don't say, you fucking porch monkey. They don't do that. Like, they might say, nigga, man, who the fuck you calling a coon? They might do that, but their instinct isn't to look at you and be like, you're a porch monkey. Like, this is what I'm saying. This is the difference. So it's like, I just never knew there was such a Bloods versus Crips as it relates to this word tether. Like, I just didn't know it was so inflammatory, derogatory of a word. When we use these same derogatory words towards other blacks, they don't care. It's only that word that carries some weight. I'm just going what he said. This nigga said, because I like to use the word nigga, I sound a certain way, but he never addressed that till that moment when he's like, but because the word tether said, there's such a clear line drawn, but that clear line isn't drawn when you call the niggas coons, when you call the niggas bitches, when you call the niggas whatever the case. Like, it's like, yo, we shouldn't do that. So that's what I'm saying. I didn't know that word and it carries so much weight.
Hey, Black, bring us back to the middle. Talk to us.
Yeah, that's some good points to that, man.
Bring us back to the middle. I feel like we've derailed. What is your perspective on the current conversation?
Trey don't know what the middle is.
Now, I ain't talking about Trey. I know Trey don't know what the middle is. I'm trying to move the conversation forward in a second. I feel like Black, he might go off the rails also.
So I kind of got lost in the convo on what point everybody was making.
Johnny, bring us home.
I can't get 3 seconds, bro. Like,
I know where you going, Trey.
I'm not gonna be hot with it, bro. I promise I won't be hot, bro. I promise.
Let him go. Let him go.
Come on. I think the reason. I was about to go. I think the reason that the word hits so hard, G, is because if you a heavy Pan-Africanism, it points out your otherness to where they want to push for unity. Let's say everything comes from the motherland, everything. And so it kind of goes to the heart of the FBA movement, because when you call them that, not only are you calling them a coon, you're also pointing out like they not like us. So that shit together is like throwing holy water on the demon type shit. That shit stings. You know what I mean? And the last thing, I think comparing tether to the word tether to the N-word is like when Kamala Harris said that ICE was like the KKK. And then that's something that you only say when you're not from around here. You know what I mean? So This is tie that back to the previous topic with Kamala Harris. If you didn't know that she said that. Oh, she also tried to make the Freedmen's Bank into to something that's for all minorities. So all the money that was stolen for Black Americans, she brought it back and said it's for illegals and all that other stuff too. Same. That's the Kamala. That's all I had to say. That wasn't that crazy, was it?
It was what I expected it to be. But no, I guess again, like I said, Nick, there was a person in the chat that kind of summarized it fairly simply. I think that if you call anybody a derogatory term, they're going to respond inside like a negative fashion. Same way when the term porch monkey was thrown out, it was a explosion, right? Same difference when coon is thrown out to a lot of like Black conservatives. There's an explosion. No matter what the word, and that's why I didn't necessarily want to get like caught up inside the syntax of like the exact word. So yes, if I use the word nigga and it's way more loaded, as we know, then like I could just like I'd rather replace it. But that was more so my point. Is that typically people are triggered by derogatory words, as though the entire panel got triggered off of like two different words just now. It was almost like
You're comparing them again.
Like, so you can't compare things at the base level of derogatory.
No, man, because you're minimizing.
If somebody, all right, got you. Okay.
Like I say, don't run this around. But
yeah,
I say this, like, I agree with Trado. Like we was about to go in earlier, but like that's my dog. But the importance of the FBA is definitely. Oh, repeat the question again before I just go crazy. What do you want me where? Because I kind of got lost in what they were saying too. Like I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about. I don't know what I'm supposed to talk about. Tethers or like.
We kind of got into a conversation about the idea of derogatory in derogatory terms and its usage and people being triggered. That was more so where it was, but it's kind of time to kind of like navigate away from that.
And I think anything can be taken. If you're trying to disrespect somebody, you can use a lot of words to disrespect. It's all about, context as well. I could say a lot of words to disrespect you right now. It ain't gotta be that specific.
And it would trigger you.
Or it ain't gotta be like, it's about intent and context. So I think that was the issue with, I think there was a misunderstanding of intent and context in one, and I think there was an intent and context, on one or the other. But it's all semantics and you can move past it.
All right, gotcha. So as we attempt to try and move forward inside the conversation, we have attempted to start the conversation, and I'm sure we'll start steamrolling inside the next season of like the current state of politics in America. We have an election coming up for president. As well as a lot of different seats and offices, but we've had a Biden versus Trump conversation. We've had a Trump, is he good for Black people conversation. And we have had a Kamala Harris versus Trump conversation. Or we really just had a Kamala Harris conversation in general, and our thoughts on her. So we'll start off here, and then we'll try and evolve our way through the conversation. But on both sides of the coin, it seems that identity politics has become like a major thing. We've had Kamala, she had her Atlanta rally, where some people said she was talking with a Black accent. She made sure that she quoted a couple, like native Black sayings per se. But then you also had Trump at the Black journalist conference, where he was differentiating. I thought she was Black, not Asian, or Asian, not Black. He spoke again like within the realms of identity politics. And I'll ask y'all this leading question first, with all that as a backdrop. Is identity politics in America first just a way of life? And then we'll break it down into, just as we start going Black people, Is this like a specific tool used for Black people? We can go even further into talking about how even our music and music artists are used as like tools within inside that realm. But starting off as broad as, is identity politics the American way? A-Black, talk to us.
I mean, yeah, I think definitely we talked about the term Black. I mean, America is really kind of built off divisions, titles, classifications, class in general. So who you identify with becomes important, especially during campaign season. You see everybody kind of fall back to what they are, because